12 out of 36 for the 100% Cup Series. We are here at Darlington for the running of the Burdvision TV Throwback 400. For 3Y TV, I'm Andre Grandbush, joined in the booth, of course, by Ashton Hartman, who is returning to the booth for the first time in a few weeks. And Ashton, it's quite a tough track that we've shown up to this week. Darlington is one that I think a lot of these drivers have been dreading. It's going to be a long race day out there. What are you expecting to see?
Yeah, I'm just glad to be back here in the booth with you again, Andre, first of all. And I couldn't be back for a better track. It's the Lady in Black, as they call it. But the walls are pretty white right now. But as we saw in practice, that's not going to stay the case. We're going to see these walls full of all kinds of colors off these beautiful throwback schemes we have this weekend here at Darlington. And these cars are they're going to be in the wall a lot. Lady in Black takes no mercy on anybody here, and I foresee we're going to have even our most veteran drivers here are going to have some difficulties navigating these turns throughout the race, especially as those tires wear. Tire wear is going to be huge here, and these cars are I've heard a lot of rumblings that these cars are ill handling at Darlington currently in iRacing.
Oh, yeah. So, and as you saw in that graphic there for the viewers at home, the track temp pretty high, and it's probably only going to get higher as the night goes on, with a peak of somewhere over 100 degrees, which is pretty crazy. We're going to go down the starting running order as quickly as we can here. It's going to be Bryson Hicksonbaugh on the pole this week in that number 63 car. It's a throwback to an old EA fantasy driver paint scheme, and he grabbed that pole by a little over a tenth. With a 29, I believe a 29.2. John Delaney behind him is going to be starting P2. Oh, no, actually, hold on. I think I've got the wrong grid here. I am not looking at this correctly. Give me one moment here. If I can find him. Okay, we're going to get this straightened out. Now, on the outside, it's going to be Cameron Stone. I do apologize. Behind him, you've got Adam Benefiel in P3, about 3/10 off the pole. John Delaney back there. And honestly, we got to get ready to get this race underway because the pace car has made that hard left turn. We didn't quite get through the grid, but the 57 is out and away with a huge jump. And that's going to allow Adam Benefiel to follow suit. He's going to go around Cameron Stone, no problem. So Bryson Hicksonbaugh, a good 4-car length lead going into the first corner, as almost near contact between the 83 and the 57.
Oh, again, we've got a crash in turn 1 and 2. Collecting back half the field. Quite a few cars involved as caution is out early here at Darlington.
Yeah, we're going to try and identify exactly what happened there. But it looked like maybe...
right front down.
Yeah, it could be Chad Edwards involved, maybe Mason Lowry. We've got the replay queued up. Let's take a look. So we're going into turn 1. This is on the initial start. You see Mason Lowry there at the bottom of your screen in that green Interstate Batteries car, but it looks like the number 4 has had a little bit of contact there with the, I believe that's the 15 machine. They went around. A lot of drivers really nowhere to go. Tim Rail in the 17 able to get that thing locked up and stopped before anything went too far. Taking a second look at it. Again, that's the 4 car. Just a little bit sideways, overcorrects it into the corner, hits the outside wall, and it's just a domino effect from there. Everybody behind him scrambling to try to avoid him. Absolute chaos there on lap 1, Ashton. Yep,
absolutely rough. And we actually saw a little bit of this happen during the iRacing event for the NASCAR drivers for the Pro Invitational this week. We actually saw that first turn on the restart. You know, they get all that momentum going in. They're gung-hoing it, and you know they just get collected up pretty quick because they're not prepared for this too wide racing into the corner. And definitely saw it early, hoping we don't see that all race, but really crazy start to this race.
There's a lot of cars that weren't necessarily taken out by that wreck that did sustain a substantial amount of damage. Brian Branham among them. He's running P11, and that rear end of that car is caved in a fair amount. And just scrolling through the grid, it looks like the number 30 might have a little bit of front end damage, but for the most part, he was actually able to get through that all right. The 17, he was able to get stopped in time. The 53, another one that was a very close call, but a lot of the drivers that were involved made their way down pit road. They got some of that damage fixed up. Chad Edwards, who kind of, I would say, initiated that. He is still sitting on pit road. Lots of right side damage all the way across that machine. And we're going to have to try again as Chad Edwards finally makes his way off pit road. So he is still in the running. Carl Felver in that number 15 machine. He is still getting that car fixed up as the lights are still on the pace car. And got to tell you, Ashton, that's got to be rough if you're the leader. You know, Bryson Hixenbach got out to a good 4-car length lead before they'd even made it through turn 1 and 2. Really looked like he was going to get out and away and put himself in a good position early on, and that was taken away immediately. So now he's got to do another restart, get another jump, and then see if he can do it all over again.
Yep, and that's the problem. The frustration with these restarts is, you know, you keep getting them and you keep getting them, and you don't want them as a leader, because then you're like, well, you know, if I can pull off what I did last time, that would be awesome. But if the off chance that I can't, or I screw it up, you know, no pressure or anything, right? But you know, there's a lot of stress involved being the leader here, especially this early in the race. You're trying to figure out what's going to work and what's not, and you know, he's got to get out with another good restart like that, and you never know. You just never know.
We're going to see if he can, as the pace car is about to make that hard left turn. Pretty quick caution. I think we got that racked up and stacked up pretty efficiently, as now Bryson is on the loud pedal again, and once again he gets a fantastic jump. A little bit squirrely there, but he's able to keep the car under control, as Adam Benefield is going to drop back into P2. Cameron Stone behind him. A little bit of wheel spin, it looks like, from Cameron Stone, who kind of held up Jonathan Delaney. And one thing I'm seeing, Ashton, is everybody going into turn 1 on these initial starts is getting a little bit squirrely. They're making a few bobbles because there is just no rear end grip in these machines right now. And I got to wonder, is the heat they're going to get in these tires going to help that rear end grip maybe, or is it going to hurt it? Because I feel like with this track, it could almost go either way.
Oh, we got a car on the apron in 3 and 4. Kevin spinning loose.
Oh yeah, that is the number 24. Good catch there, Ashton. He's down on the apron, off pace. A little bit of left rear damage on that car. As you know, actually, that might only be on my end. On the broadcast, he looks all right. Yeah, that is an unfortunate situation early on. Darlington, one of those tracks that does not seem to like Kevin Consistency Steele. Very rarely you ever see Kevin Steele have a truly bad race. And this track, it seems like the number of times that I've seen something happen to him here is just almost astounding. But we do have a replay queued up for you guys at home. We're going to take a look on our 3Y TV multicam on the top right. That is the incident. Looks like the 24 got a little bit push loose in a way. Ashton, it looks like that front end started to get a little bit loose, and he just slid up the track trying to catch him.
And that's something you're going to see a lot in 3 and 4. There's these guys, they're going to push the limits. That turn is just not as wide as 1 and 2, but guys still try to drive it a little bit hard there to try and get that momentum in there, and they just, you know, they slide up, they catch that wall, and that's where the famous Darlington stripe comes from, as we see Kevin Steele, one of the first to earn it, and he's pulling into the pits currently. I guess he's either working on the car a little bit on that right side. He must have hit it pretty hard that it's just not driving right, or maybe he's getting a fresh set of tires there.
Well, he is taking tires. I believe his primary reason for pitting was to fix the damage, but he did take 4 tires, which I find interesting. They do have 9 sets of tires, which is more than you really need in a race, but considering we've only been racing for about 10 laps or so, it is kind of surprising to me that he would take a set of tires. We're going to have to maybe eventually find out if that was intentional or not. But
I tell you what, bouncing off these walls, you go through those tires. You think you have a lot of tires, but these guys are going to go through those tires quicker than they think if they're not careful.
Sure, especially with how much they're sliding around, how hot the track is. They're gonna be scuffing these tires up pretty quick. So it's gonna be a struggle all night long. And you got to think too, Ashton. These drivers have had a curveball thrown at them. A lot of these guys have been working on setups for this track in particular for weeks now, because they know Darlington is such a tough race. It's such a tough track. And they knew that with the physics model that we had, with the tire model that we had, and how the dynamic track worked, it was going to take a lot of time and effort to get these cars where they needed them. And then this week, just a few days before race day, iRacing releases an update which completely changes the way that the track handles. And suddenly, all of these setups these drivers have spent weeks building and working on and perfecting and turning hundreds of laps to try and get it figured out, now that's all obsolete, and they were basically starting from scratch. A lot of the setup shops that some drivers may buy setups from and modify setups from, they didn't even have setups available for this particular model. So these guys were really coming into this race with a big unknown, and it's going to take a long time for them, I think, to get used to their car and to also figure out what kind of changes do I need to make to the car to get it where I need it, to where it's not trying to wreck every time I go into the corner.
Yep, absolutely. And that's, that's something where we're really going to see during this race that these guys that work on their own setups maybe a little bit more than the guys who just kind of rely on these setup shops. The guys that are more setup savvy they're going to rise to the top here. The guys that put in more all that extra time to reconfigure their race strategy here. And I mean, I just want to point out that's something that not to discredit, actual NASCAR, but that's something that you don't really see in actual NASCAR. These guys have an extra element thrown at them in iRacing where, something like that could happen and they got to be prepared. They got to be on their toes because it's very unfortunate that happened, just a day within days of this race happening, but a lot of them are taking it in stride as we see Bryson and the second place car of Adam Benefiel are really pulling away from the pack here, along with Cameron Stone and Robert Miller not far behind him.
They are absolutely starting to pull away, and you absolutely called it. When you get a wrench thrown into your plan like this, and you're really coming into this race not knowing what is going to work, it is the drivers that can set up a car that are going to rise to the top and that are going to do well, just like you said. And so that's why it doesn't surprise me that you've got drivers like Bryson Hicksonbaugh leading the way, who he spends a lot of time working on setups. He is one of the team owners in this league that spends a ton of time working on sets for himself and his team. And right behind him, we got Adam Benefield, who, of course, is a crew chief for Team Conti and works closely alongside the Coca-Cola iRacing series. And he knows a thing or two, believe you me, about setting up a car. And it's showing tonight as he is currently running P2. And with him running P2 now, I really only expect Benefield to get a little bit quicker throughout the night, because so many times we see that 83 start out slow in a race and slowly tweak on that car, slowly get it worked on, and pick up the pace throughout the event. Currently riding on board with Cameron Stone out of Danville. He is currently running that high line in 3 and 4, trying to catch up to that number 21 machine. Robert Miller graciously filling in for Bryce Hoffman. If you're a regular to this series and you tune in every week, probably wondering, why is Bryce Hoffman not running in that 21? He had an obligation this week. The team owner, totally not me, messaged Robert Miller, said, "Hey, how do you feel about driving the 21?" He said, "Sure, why not?" And now he's currently up there running in podium position. So doing a great job for LMM up there, trying to score himself some driver points alongside some team points.
And just to clarify, a few laps ago, Cameron actually let him by. They were battling for third there, and Robert obviously having the faster car in this mid to late run on these tires, and so Cameron finally pulled over and just told him on the radio, "Hey, go ahead, bud, just take it." He's just fighting an ill-handling race car a little bit here. So we'll see how it shakes out for him as he gets loose there off 4. Wow, great save by Cameron Stone.
Well, and it doesn't surprise me to see Cameron Stone take it a little bit easy early in this race. I don't think he doesn't have the speed. I think he's definitely got a good car underneath him, and I think he's got the ability to get up there and lead some laps. But he told me before the race, he had mentioned that really this is going to come down to the end. He said the first few stages really don't matter all that much. In fact, I think I have the exact quote from him, because he specifically wanted me to quote him. He said before the race, "Stage 1 will tell you who didn't practice enough. Stage 2 will tell you who lacks car control. And Stage 3 will tell you who didn't expletive up in the first 2 and still have a usable car." And then he said, "Quote me on the broadcast." So there you go, Tim.
Here we go, buddy.
Mentality that it's really going to come down to the final stage. I think these first 2 stages for Cam are going to be all about survival, keeping the car clean. As on your screen, you're looking at a bit of a 2-car battle. I believe that is the 44, yes, and he is on. Actually made a pass on the high lane there, which is something that you don't see too often there at Darlington, and he made it work pretty well as he continues to pull away ever so slightly from Mike Tellier. And Randy Drumhiller, of course, piloting that number 44, running P20, slowly working his way up the grid. The next car on his sights is Cody Bird in that number 13 machine. Cody Bird, of course, the driver who stepped up to sponsor this event. So shout out to Cody Bird and Burdvision TV. Go ahead and tune in to his social media over at Burdvision TV and give him a follow, give him a like, and maybe give him a thanks for sponsoring the event and making sure that this gets broadcasted to all of the viewers at home for the 100% Cup Series, as he is running a interesting throwback, I would say. He's running a J-Ski Silly Season site car, which I believe was a real paint scheme, as now we've got some LMM team action there. We've got Mason Lowry, we've got, we got Mason Lowry, Chad Edwards, and Tim Rail, who is now off pace on the apron, possibly a little bit loose there. Maybe now coming down pit road, it would appear.
Chad Edwards on those fresher tires. He finally got a bunch of that damage fixed, came off pit road. But he is scored currently at 9 laps down, so he's got a lot of work cut out for him if he wants to get back on the lead lap and or possibly just salvage a finish here. As he's at 9 laps down with Kevin Steele and last 16 laps down.
That is a deficit. It's going to be very difficult to overcome a 9-lap deficit, especially when more cars are going to get put laps down and they're going to be first in line for the Lucky Dog Award. It's an uphill battle right now for the number 4, and that is exactly why you don't want to make mistakes like that so early in the race. But unfortunately, just a little bit loose, a little bit of an overcorrection, and now he's got a huge uphill battle. On your screen, we've got a bit of a battle brewing for the lead as Bryson Hicksonbaugh is closing in on 3 lapped cars, and this has allowed the number 83 of Adam Benefield to slowly close this gap. And he brought it from about a second back to now practically nothing. And this brings me to a good point, and that is lap traffic here. Whoa, as we have a scary moment between the 53 and the 63. Lap traffic is going to be more detrimental. Oh, contact! Lapped car in the wall. Bryson sideways. He's able to get
saved there by all drivers involved. But
Bryson still sliding, as now he's going to try to get around the next lap car in line. But yeah, lap traffic here is going to be brutal because there's really nowhere for the lap cars to go except for on the straightaways. Maybe they can duck down low, but in the corners, it's so one groove, so one lane. Even if you want to let the leaders go, it's not always as easy as just, oh, I'm going to move up a lane and they're going to go around me, because there's just not enough space. It's such a narrow racing surface.
Yep, and this is super hard track to pass at, like on, fresh tires, let alone, these worn tires, as these guys are getting way deep into this run here. It's just amazing that Bryson held on to that with so many cars in front of him. There's really a log jam, and to keep Benefield behind him, it was more, Benefield just had nowhere to go, and I mean, he's got to be patient here if he's going to pass him. It's crazy to see that we have so many big movers this early in the race, because it's going to be hard to figure out where to pass people.
A near incident there as tire smoke came up off the fender well there. Rusty Wallace throwback, he is off pace on the apron. He's going to do his best in that 53 machine to try to re-merge onto the racing surface. But finally, Bryson has a little bit of clear track ahead of him, and he's going to try to use that to his advantage and maybe extend that lead again over number 83, Adam Benefield. But
Preston McRae in the 53 machine. And I'm starting to see a little bit of a trend here between all the Apex racing drivers.
We do have a replay queued up on our 3Y TV multicam, top right of your screen. That's where it went down, and a little bit of contact to the rear bumper. Luckily, he's able to gather it up. It's a great save. That definitely could have been worse than it ended up being, but he was able to keep that car under control. Luckily, a lot of runoff down on the apron of the straightaway there, so he had some room to kind of maneuver. But on your screen right now, that is Mason Lowry, who is currently trying to run down, I believe, the number 1 car of Dustin Hall, who was actually laps down. He's running P27 right now with a lot of damage to the rear bumper. Dustin Hall slowing and off pace to let a lot of drivers go. But right now on your screen, that's the battle for the lead, and you can see the differences in lap times. And it seems like they're really trading off the lap times every other lap. Bryson's faster on lap 25. Benefield's faster Benefield's faster on lap 25. Bryson's faster on 26. And it just kind of keeps repeating that trend but they're just trading off these lap times. It really just goes to show how close these guys are in pace. And then that lap traffic, again, it's going to continue to be an issue all race long. And it's going to be a situation where they're never really clear of it in these longer green flag runs. So it's going to be a battle. You know, it's one of those tracks where even if you're the leader, there's really no time to breathe. There's not a moment of reprise, because you have to be on the ball. You have to be watching that lap traffic. You have to be completely focused in and on not only playing offense with the lap traffic, but playing defense with the cars behind you. And it's rough. So anybody out there leading this race, I do not envy them, because they have a lot on their plate. As we look back again to a bit of a 3-car train here, and I believe that is currently being spearheaded by the number 5 Dakota Knoll, who is currently ahead of Mason Lowry and Brandon Pearson at number 38. And actually, the number 5 in that battle, it's up into the wall. So another Darlington stripe is going to be added into the mix on that number 5 car. Luckily, not losing too much speed. And I got to tell you, Ashton, I think he might have lucked out there, because sometimes on this simulator, you get into the wall and you're not quite sure where it's going to send you. He was able to get that thing corrected really well. He's still ahead of the 56 and the 38, and this battle is going to continue on.
Absolutely, and you might actually see some of these guys kind of use that skipping off the wall to their advantage, because maybe it knocks in the car, the right side of the car, just the right way, or it they skip off it like the 5 did there, and they keep that momentum going. I definitely personally wouldn't try it myself, because knowing my luck, I'd get caught in the wall and cause a pileup. But hey, some of these drivers obviously maybe have a few tricks here at Darlington. I mean, you have to. The lady in black is unforgiving, and these drivers definitely need to figure every little bit that helps out that they can, as these cars become ill handling. As they put it during the Ricky Craven and Kurt Busch battle that we all know that's iconic. These cars, by the end of these runs, I'm sure for Bryson Hicksonball and Adam Benefield there in 1 and 2, their positions, they're just not handling very well for these drivers. Those cars are probably just a whole bucket of not fun.
A bucket of not fun. Well, it doesn't sound fun. And we are getting to that point too. We're on lap 36, and a lot of these drivers didn't opt to take tires on those first 2 cautions that we had. So, or actually, I'm sorry, we didn't get 2 cautions. I was thinking of Kevin Steele pitting, and that was under green. But that initial caution, we had a lot of drivers not taking tires. They stayed out on the same tires they started with. So they are really getting up there in age. Those tires are starting to wear, and the lap times definitely show it. I mean, the leader right now, if I go ahead and check his telemetry, last time around he ran a 31.5. So that's almost 2 seconds of lap time loss in just 37 laps of racing. And that just goes to show you how much more they have to lift through these corners, how much more careful they have to be, as the leader is now approaching a little bit more lap traffic. And on your screen right now, we got a bit of a train going on here, and these guys are single filed out for the most part, and I think you're going to see a lot of that here. I think these guys know how tough this track is. They saw the chaos that broke out at the beginning, and they just want to be there at the end. There's really no point in getting too angsty or too aggressive on lap 38 when we've got, I don't know, over 250 laps to go.
Quite a few laps. We aren't even halfway into this yet, and already the racing proving to be really good. I can't help but wonder if Kevin Steele, being 30 laps down, if he is out of the race for good. I thought maybe he was just going to fix damage, but it is looking like possibly the team has parked it for the night. I'm not sure what's going on there, but I've noticed a trend with these Apex drivers tonight. It looks like they've got ill handling cars off the get-go here, and it's going to be interesting to see what kind of changes they throw at it. I'm thinking big swings at these cars from Preston McRae, Cameron Stone, and a bunch of these drivers on the Apex team. It just seems like they practiced a lot for this race before the update, and I'm sure they practiced quite a bit cramming before the test after the update. But I know I talked to Cameron when I could during the week, and he just...
Oh, car into the wall there. Sorry to cut you off, but it looks like we had somebody get into the wall right ahead of, I believe that's the number 16 of Samuelson. Yeah, Samuelson had to check up big time for the number 65. That is Sean O'Brien Jr., who tagged the wall. Now he's off pace a little bit. He's going to let Samuelson go for P11. That was a kind of a strange situation. He kind of hit the wall after he'd already kind of exited the corner. It was a very odd situation. It seems like he is really fighting that car right now, as he is now in danger of going another position back. Currently under attack from Jason Taylor in that 37, but we do have a replay queued up for you, and we are going to take a look and see exactly what happened on the top right of your screen on our 3Live TV multicam. And you can see as they round their way through the corner. Keep your eye on the. We're going to try that replay one more time. I think we might have misidentified the issue there. It happens. And let's see if it happens here. Oh! Hard hits the inside wall. I did not catch that initially.
And if you notice, it looks like he just exited a little bit early there. He just got on the put the power down and tried to exit, you know, get that momentum going out of 2. And, you know, you'll see a lot of drivers, you know, their cars get loose as they kind of swerve to avoid that wall. And you'll see they kind of hit it just a few feet forward from where he hit it. That's where they usually exit. And he just hit that super early, that hard, you know, aggressive line coming out of there, and just too much.
And that was the number 19, Alex Princeton. I kind of get those guys mixed up. They're both running like identical paint schemes. Mason Lowry and Alex Princeton both running those Interstate Batteries throwbacks. But Princeton with a hard hit to the inside wall. Just an update on him after that incident. It looks like he is currently sitting in his pit stall. He's got quite a bit of damage to repair, but I'm looking at the right side of that car getting jacked up, so he's taking tires, and I would assume he's going to get back out there as soon as he can. And in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, we have had a pass for the lead. Adam Benefield has gotten around Bryson Hixenbaugh after 44 laps. He is now going to lead the way. The problem for him now is that he's the one that's going to have to navigate this lap traffic. He can't rely on somebody in front of him to open that gap up and just follow suit. He is going to be the front of the train trying to get through all this traffic. And he's got 3 cars ahead of him, so it's going to be a bit of a tall order, as Bryson not letting him get too far away. I know Bryson, when he was talking about his setup before this race, the vibe that I was getting from everything he was saying was that it really seems like Team Highside does have those short run setups today. I think mostly they were anticipating to have a lot of cautions, which so far we haven't. We had 1 caution on lap 1, and we've had a few incidents after that did not bring out a caution. So if I was a betting man before the race, I'd say, yeah, it's a good idea to build a short run setup and expect to have a lot of cautions, because in practice and in qualifying, everybody was having such a tough time just staying on the track even. But in practice, now that we're in the race, everybody's got in the rhythm. It's actually been a relatively clean race, I think, compared to what we were expecting going in, Ashton.
Yeah, honestly, we saw a lot of people catching the wall, a lot of people spinning on the apron and the turns everywhere, all over the track in practice. And to see how well they're doing here, I don't know if maybe they're playing a little bit more cautious during the actual race. Maybe they just finally figured something out, or made, you know, some quick adjustments on that first caution. But definitely surprising to see us go this whole stage this early in the race. I figured, you know, we'd have a lot more cautions at the beginning, and then as we kind of, you know, get in the rhythm of things, they would have less. But definitely showcasing everybody's talent here, you know, showing that they can hang at one of the toughest tracks. You know, they say it's too tough to tame, and they're doing their best to tame it. And I would honestly wager that if we stay green like this during the race, I would almost bet that our cautions are probably going to stem from lap traffic, as, you know, the faster cars, the leaders, are trying to navigate through them. We saw those log jams, and we saw him barely squeak by earlier when Preston McRae caught the wall and Bryson got loose. I would almost, you know, guarantee that if we have another log jam like that, one wrong move is gonna, you know, cause that to be a pileup, and it could lead to some frustration here from a leader who might be trying to, you know, try to win the race.
And the stages are on lap 90 and lap 185 respectively. So I would expect, honestly, to see a few cars making their way down pit road before too long.
As we see Bryson Hixenbaugh second place, as you say that, It dives down on a pit road. A little bit of an aggressive line in there. Hopefully, didn't get caught for speeding, but he's going for some 4 fresh feel goods and gonna hopefully run the stage out as he's trying to split it a little bit past the halfway mark here.
And Cameron Stone joining him down pit road. And, well, it only took me, 20, maybe 30 some odd races for the 100% Cup Series here on 3 Wide TV, but I finally got a prediction right. I said they were probably going to start pitting soon, and then boom, they started pitting, and here comes the leader in the number 83. So he's pitting 1 lap behind the cars that had already come down, including Bryson and Cam. So now the question is, how much time does that 1 lap cost him on older tires? Is it enough for Bryson or Cameron Stone to get around him and cycle out ahead? We're going to have to find out. As on your screen, that's the number 9, a driver we haven't talked about too much yet, Jonathan Delaney, in that gorgeous Reese's throwback scheme. I love that paint scheme, always have.
Fantastic scheme. It's weird to see it on the 9 car and on a Camaro like that, but it's definitely a sharp scheme as he drives down on the pit road here for his service. Yeah, interesting, part of his career for John Delaney here. He was suspended not too long ago for some incident points, and he came back and he won a race like right after they lifted his suspension, and technically won 2 in a row. So I mean, he's definitely got the momentum. I mean, nothing's slowing him down here. As young John Delaney really flexing his muscles, getting tired of the third again jokes. So he's proving them wrong.
Absolutely. Before this race, he talked to me a little bit, and whoa, that could have been something. A little bit of contact with the wall there, it looks like, from Mike Tellier. He got into the wall. He saved it, though. He got that thing gathered up. Nobody behind him had any issues. That was an incredible save by Tellier. But anyways, back to my point there, as I got a little bit derailed, Jonathan Delaney, he was not too confident going into this race. He won a race, got suspended, came back and won immediately after his suspension. And I asked him, well, how do you feel after 2 consecutive wins, basically, about Darlington? And he said, well, if I can finish in the top 5, I'll be happy. This track is going to be Bryson's wheelhouse. So he was really expecting the 63 to have a lot of pace. And right now, it's definitely a good prediction. You're right. I mean, Bryson has been fast, but so far, I think the class of the field has been Adam Benefield in that 83, who was able to get around Bryson, lead a lot of laps. And now we're just going to have to wait and see, where does everybody cycle out? Right now, as they run, I believe Bryson is going to inherit the lead off of this pit sequence. So it could be the 63 going back to the front. As on your screen, we got a side-by-side battle. That is Brian Branham in the number 74. And he is side-by-side, or was side-by-side, with, I believe, the number 13 there. And, oh, there goes Cody Bird down to the apron. He's going to let Branham go. Now Branham's got to try and navigate that number 30 car if he can. But on your screen, again, that is the difference between Bryson and Adam Benefield, who have been navigating a lot of this lap traffic. Looks like Benefield is closing the gap a little bit there, Ash. And again, it's kind of a mirror image of what we saw in this first stint, where Bryson leads early, but that lap traffic closes the gap, and then that allows Benefield to attack.
Yep, and I mean, if you look, it looks like Adam Benefield, he made some kind of adjustment on that pit stop that worked really well for him, because he is not letting Bryson get that far away this run. As he is definitely pulling him in here. And I mean, the lap traffic's definitely helping, but when they were out in clean air there, it seemed like Bryson's just maybe not made very big swings of changes to his car, and he's just kind of happy with where it's at. But I wouldn't get too content, because Adam's on a mission here. Like you said, he's going to only get faster as the race goes on, and definitely proven that here in the early laps of this race.
And he is slowly closing this gap, as Bryson did cycle back out into the lead. And so this battle that you're seeing for the lead here, this is not for the potential lead. Everybody's cycled out. Everybody's done pitting. So this is for the lead, as Bryson down to the apron.
88 got really loose off 2 there, and he definitely collected up, saved it. But, ooh.
That is the second time that lap traffic has caused a close call for Bryson. I'm sure Bryson's probably a little frustrated with the lap traffic, but again, you cannot blame these lap down cars. There's just nowhere for them to go. It's such a narrow surface, and when they catch you in the wrong place, what choice do you have aside from holding your line and just hoping for the best, you know?
Yep, and everybody seems to think 3 and 4 is what they got to worry about, sliding up, catching the wall, getting that Darlington stripe. They think they're safe in 1 and 2 as they get that wider, that wider arc, that wider turn, more leeway. But no, it's just as difficult to navigate and drive through there, especially when you're in traffic, because as you can see, these drivers, as they come up off a 2, you're either in the wall or you're getting loose trying to keep it off the wall, and it's only going to get worse as this race goes on and the tires wear. So definitely going to be curious to see, how these drivers continue to race each other as the race goes on, as things get more heated from here.
And they are bumper to bumper for the lead going into turn 1 and 2.
It is on the 30 car.
It is such a close battle right now. You can see Benefiel taking a bit of a lower line, whereas Bryson's running a little bit higher in the center and driving down the banking, so he gets a little bit of a better run down the straightaway. But watch it right here in turns 3 and 4 here. He is going to close that gap. Benefiel is just so quick through the center of 3 and 4, whereas that 63 looks unsettled. The rear end wants to kick out on him, and that's just not something I'm seeing out of the Team Conti machine behind him. So right now, I think Benefiel working with a better setup. He's more comfortable. And if he gets that opportunity, he is definitely going to take it, as these guys remain only about 0.2 seconds separated for the lead. More lap traffic up ahead that will probably come into play within the next 3 or 4 laps. But we are at 30 to go in this stage. So how about, Ashton, we go to a Shano FX overdrive and take in the sights and sounds of Darlington?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
For the Burdvision TV 400 here at Darlington. While we were on our crank it up, we had another pass for the lead. Bryson was able to get back around Benefiel. So he is back to leading the way in that number 63. I can't even read the sponsor on that. It's a very odd font, but I know it comes from an old EA Sports fantasy car that he painstakingly recreated from scratch. So a very neat scheme there. Bryson, a big fan of the old EA games, as am I, so I can appreciate that. But while he does have the lead, he's not driving away with it, Ashton. It looks like Adam Benefiel is back on the attack.
And it looks like, and the sponsor on that car looks to read Easy Mix, so maybe some kind of concrete sponsor. Easy is far from what Bryson's dealing with on the track, though. Adam Benefiel, if you look, he's diving kind of down on the straights. You'll see him duck out to the inside of Bryson and kind of get some clean air on that nose. He's definitely trying to stay right on his bumper and put the pressure on. Hopefully Bryson slips up here for Adam Benefiel's sake and lets him hopefully make the pass as clean as possible. But I can't help but wonder as we watched Bryson during the Shano FX segment that it seems like maybe he's running that higher line to kind of save the tires a little bit more than Adam, as Adam runs that aggressive inner line. Or I'm not sure what his strategy is here, but so far he's been able to hold off Benefield. But as the tires wear, I can only imagine that maybe as the stage comes to a close, that Adam's got something for him here to get these to get the stage win.
And it could just simply be that Bryson is utilizing that sort of bubble of air that is up on that outside safety area that sort of allows you to run that outside line by sort of repelling you a little bit and kind of keeping you in line. Maybe he's liking the way that bubble of air is feeling. He likes that high line. He's a little bit more comfortable up there. I'm not sure I'd be comfortable running, I don't know, 5 inches from the wall at 180 miles an hour. But, then again, I am not Bryson Hicksonbaugh, the robot himself. So right now, though, if you're the leaders, this is a scary sight. If we go on board with the number 63, if we can make that happen, you're going to see a gaggle of cars that are bumper to bumper battling it out right in front of him. And he has second place breathing down his neck, just waiting for an opportunity like this. This is going to be quite a battle here, Ashton.
Absolutely. And that's the horrible situation that Bryson is in, unfortunately, because, he's shown that he has had a lot of struggles with reaching lap traffic where he wants to reach him at during this race so far, and that's I'm sure Adam Benefield's noticed, and he's taken note of that, and he's going to use that weakness that Bryson has to his advantage all race long, as almost gets the slide job done, but not quite enough momentum there for Adam. But they are actually talking back and forth, apologizing, saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get into you if I got into you there," but Bryson's saying all good as the drivers keep going. But definitely they're not at each other's throats yet, so I'm sure that'll change by the end of this race as they bump and bang for the win here. I believe it's coming.
Of course, we've got the beta panic meter for Bryson Hicksonbaugh. It peaked at about 80% panic. Now it's down to only 50 with one lap car left in front of him. Definitely, I think I'd be a little bit more panicked than 80%. I think if I'm the leader and I've got a former Coke Series driver breathing down my neck, and I've got 3 lap cars battling it out on a one-lane racetrack in front of me, I'm at 100% panic mode at that point.
I tell you, with 7 laps to go in this stage, I'd already be needing a change of pants by the end of this, because, man, the sweat would be just rolling off me, I tell you. If I was in that seat right now,
absolutely,
there'd be a lot of panic mode.
And he is not out of the woods yet. He still has to work his way around Brian Branham as he takes a very low entry, gets loose on the apron, and that allows the 83 to close the gap even more. Now, he's got a little bit of clean track ahead of him. It's going to be another half a lap to 3/4 of a lap before he gets to more lap traffic, but he's not going to have much time to breathe. He will reach this next car in line. I believe that's the number 12 of Devin Medeiros, who he is currently closing in on.
That's some fantastic driving by everybody involved through that turn, by the way. I mean, we had 7 cars all lined up there. As a 12, just going to let them by on the straights, going to let the whole line of cars by. He is listed as, it looks like 5 laps down, so just being a little courteous there. 24th, 5 laps down, so Devin Medeiros not trying to hold the leaders up here.
And like I mentioned earlier, that is really the only option you have if you don't want to hold up the leaders. You just have to hope that they catch you on the straightaway and then you dive down to the apron. And of course, that's never a fun thing to do as a lap car. I know as the leader, you think, man, I'm up here, I'm racing to win this thing, and these guys are laps down. Why are they trying to hold me up? But you got to look at this from the perspective of the drivers going laps down. They're here to compete as well. Just because they don't have as good of a setup or they didn't have enough time to really get the seat time and figure out this track, they're still here to compete. As a lap car hits the wall ahead of the number 63, so they got to be feeling kind of frustrated, going laps down. And the last thing they want to do is pull off the racing surface, go off pace, and give up all that time. And you can't blame them. They're here to race. They're not here to just drive around and let everybody go. They're here to get as many points as they can, and they have absolutely every single right to do so. So this is a track that really pits the back markers versus the front runners in a situation where I think tempers can flare when really you can see it from both sides, where both drivers have reasons to be frustrated. Both drivers are just trying to be out here getting all the points that they can.
Absolutely. And at a track like Darlington, I mean, tempers flare normally at most tracks, but at Darlington and Bristol, those two tracks, it seems like tempers really get the better of drivers more than usual, because I mean, you're navigating some difficult tracks, and Darlington is one of the most difficult, intermediate racetracks on the schedule, for both, in real life and in iRacing for these drivers. And you know, you're already stressed, you're hot, you're bothered, you know, everything's heating up literally and figuratively. So I mean, you just one wrong, somebody gets into you and you kind of snap at them, and you maybe didn't mean to, but it's just everything is amplified in these cars right now for these drivers. As Adam Benefield pulls right back up to Bryson, he kind of got mired in traffic for the first time we saw and dropped back about a second, but he's already back up there.
And something that these drivers in the lead pack here have to keep in mind is that how they treat lap traffic right now could definitely affect them later in the race, because we're at Darlington. We're at a track where anything could go wrong at any given moment, even more so than normal. And later on in this race, if Bryson falls on some misfortune, if he spins out, if he blows a tire, if he tags the wall, if somebody wrecks in front of him, Bryson could find himself being that car being a lap down, and the cars that he was previously lapping are the ones that are on a faster pace. So you kind of want to put some goodwill in the bank. You want to make sure that you're not pushing these guys around who maybe aren't having quite as good of a day as you, because you never know. You might be the guy that is going laps down.
As we come to lap 81 here, and I believe that is the stage end at lap 80, correct?
Nope, 90. It is
90.
Lap 94.
My bad. 90, lap 90. So I previously said 7 to go in this stage. I actually meant 17, as we now have 9 to go in this stage. So Adam Benefield still got time here to make something happen as we get down to the end of the stage. So one thing to note, Robert Miller is actually closing in on him now as those drivers are running. So Robert Miller really showing that he's probably got a long run car here. So it's going to be interesting to see in stage 3 if him or Cameron Stone or even young John Delaney have something planned with their cars, as we will rack up the field and get them closer for stage 2.
Indeed it will. And a little professional tip there, Ashton. When you get the lap counter wrong, you just say, well, it was 7 laps to go to 10 laps to go. And then boom, you're not wrong.
There you go.
So that's how you save that. but yeah, this battle for the lead, you mentioned the number 21. He has closed the gap quite a bit.
He's got a nice handling race car there compared to these two up front. I'm sure they're probably just feeling the heat here. But the 21 looking like he's got a little bit more car control there. It'd be interesting to see if maybe he steals this from the two front runners.
Well, he's going to have to make up some ground really quickly if he wants to do that. We're on lap 84 out of 90 for the stage, so time is running out. But he has closed the gap quite a bit. You can see just how close he's getting. We've got more lap traffic ahead of the leaders. That's going to help him as the lap traffic swerves in front of the leaders. It's a huge checkup, and now that really helps the number 21. As we go on board, you can see the lap time comparisons there on your screen as the leader is sideways coming out of turn 4. He's
almost
cross the line in a sideways state almost as he reached. That was incredible. And Adam Benefield not quite able to capitalize, I'm sure, as much as he would have liked. And that is one of the problems with this track as a driver. When the guy ahead of you makes a mistake, it's not always easy just to capitalize on that and make a pass. Sometimes you just have to slow down as well and fall in line behind them, because there's just not quite that much room to maneuver with. So we have a 3-car battle for the stage win. We're going to be at 5 to go in the stage as they cross the line. And really, I think anybody in this top 3 could walk away the stage victor, because we got more lap traffic up ahead, and this is only heating up.
Apart. 21 really with the advantage here. He's able to drive up there if he can get around these two leaders, because they have to check up for lap traffic or something, and he just happens to luck out with an opening there, the momentum being just a little bit farther behind them. That could really work out in his favor here as we get to 3 to go.
And a moment ago, Benefiel got really loose out of turn 4. That allowed the 21 to close up on Benefiel, but ultimately Bryson drove away a little bit further when that happened. So that little bobble by Benefiel played to Bryson's advantage massively, as the battle now really is for second place. The leader extending that gap to about 2/10, which doesn't sound like much, but compared to how close they have been, that gap has widened up a bit. Now at 3 to go in the stage as they're about to cross the line. There we go. 3 to go. Bryson now passing some lap traffic on the high lane. Lap traffic sliding up a little. Benefiel going to follow suit. This is, this is lap traffic just shuffling things up so much. This is real interesting.
As you see the 15 get a little loose there off too, man. All it's going to take is one slip up like that to collect a bunch of these guys, man. It's rough.
One mistake is all it takes, and we are going to be at lap 89 out of 90, so we are on 2 to go in the stage. It's going to be the completion at lap 90. So here comes the number 21 trying again to make an overtake on second place Adam Benefiel, but Benefiel really seems to have that on lockdown. It seems like he is doing a good job playing defense as they work their way down the backstretch. One more lapped car. I believe that's Brandon Pearson, the 38, now going another lap down. The leader, Bryson Hicksonbaugh, working his way out of turn 4. And he is going to take our Public Chicken Tenders on sale.com white flag of the stage. That's a mouthful. Say that 3 times fast. And he's got to go around one more time to secure himself a stage win here for the running the Burdvision TV 400. I think he's going to do it handily. Coming into 3 and 4, he's got a good 5-car length lead over Adam Benefiel. They all slide up into turns 3 and 4. I notice a lot of them kind of running that high line. And it is going to be Bryson Hicksonbaugh, that number 63, winning stage 1. Adam Benefiel, P2. Robert Miller, P3. Cameron Stone, 4th. Jonathan Delaney is going to cross the line, 5th. And then we've got cars that are lapped down. We've currently got 5 cars on the lead lap. Behind them, Brandon Pierce, Brian Burnham, Kyle Moon, number 10 car, had a pretty good stage running up there in the top 10. Ryan Samuelson with also a pretty good stage. And Sean O'Brien Jr., the last driver to bring home a stage 10. That's crazy to think about, Ashton. One stage in, and only 5 drivers that got stage points were on the lead lap.
Yep, and I was gonna point that out as you were talking about lap cars earlier, and Bryson Hicksonbaugh possibly running into some trouble. If he could be a lap car himself, so could Adam Benefiel. Well, most of the field are lap cars at this point, unless they take the wave around. So, yeah, it could be. We could see just only a few cars on the lead lap, but that's what happens when you have green flag racing like this. You know, these drivers, they get spread out. They're all running their race, and we saw that during practice at a lot of these lap times. A lot of guys were at the low 28s, 29s, things like that. But we also saw some guys on the high end of 29s, 30s. So I talked about it during practice. We were going to see a big split between the field, like a front half and a back half of the field. And I mean, we've got a bunch of guys a few laps down. We got a bunch of guys only 1 lap down or on the lead lap. So definitely seeing a wide range here tonight. All talented drivers, all high caliber, but definitely a wide range of veterancy and experience versus non-experience at Darlington. But they're definitely going to get some experience tonight. Some hard lessons going to be learned.
And of course, setup, a big factor as well. Again, this being an open setup league and Darlington being such a difficult track to make a setup for, I think even the best driver in the world, if you give them a bad setup at Darlington, they're not going to have a chance. So a lot of this coming down to car and just setup knowledge as the leader makes his way out of pit road.
Robert Miller beating Adam Benefiel off pit road to take a position of second. That's going to be interesting to see him start on the outside row there.
Indeed. We're going to try to have a quick word real quick with our stage winner. I'm going to move him into the booth. Bryson Hicksonbaugh, you got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
All right, Bryson, it was an interesting stage 1. You led a lot of that early stint after that lap 1 caution. Benefiel caught up to you, got around you, but then you got back around him under that pit sequence. And then you guys kept trading off positions throughout the entire stage. It seemed like you'd get around him, he'd get around you. And finally, around lap 60, you took the lead. You never looked back. How's the car feeling out there?
It's real loose in the corners. It doesn't want to stay straight going into 1 or going into 3, which is unfortunate because I can't really fix that without screwing up turn 2. But it's rough out here. It's just hanging on for dear life.
Absolutely.
It's pretty rough out there. Some masterful holding on to the car there at Darlington, especially as the track gets rougher as the run goes on. Bryson, I only got one question for you, buddy. How hot is it in that car right now?
Oh, it's bad now. I forgot to turn my fan on before the race, so this is going to be a hot one.
The heat is on, buddy, both literally and figuratively. Hang in there. Good luck in stage 2.
Absolutely. Good luck in stage 2, and hopefully we're talking to you at the end of this thing, Bryson.
Hopefully, but we'll see here.
All right. And that was your stage winner, Bryson Nixonbaugh, out of the booth. And you can tell he was not too happy with the setup of that car. And that's Darlington, man. What other track are you're gonna show up? You're gonna have the leader say, "This car is terrible." He's out here leading laps. He's lapped all but 5 cars, and he says, "This car is bad."
It's definitely rough out there, especially if you forget to have your cooling fans on. As poor Bryson's gonna have one of the hottest rides of his life tonight. I feel for him. I've done that. You don't want to be there.
Absolutely. Lights are off on the pace car. We're going to double them up as the number 21 takes that high line. The leader, Bryson Nixonbaugh, opting to start on the bottom. Seems to be a running trend. Nobody really opting to take the top on any starts or restarts so far. So, going to be interesting to see how that plays out. And of course, Adam Benefiel starting P3, Cameron Stone P4, John Delaney behind him. And I believe the recipient of the lucky dog was Brandon Pierce, who had just barely gone a lap down prior to the end of that stage. So the number 38 DGR machine is back on the lead lap. If you're a Brandon Pierce fan, now got some good news for you. He's going to have a chance to get up here and dice it up with the leaders. And I know Brandon. I know the kind of race he runs. He's the kind of guy that never stops working on the car, and we're going to see how he progresses through this race. I got some faith in him as the pace car makes that hard left turn. There goes Bryce Nixonbaugh on the loud pedal before he even exited the corner, which can be a very difficult thing to do with how rough and bumpy that turn exit is. You can really get a lot of wheel spin.
Aggressive on these restarts. He's just trying to catch him off guard, and that's exactly what you want to do here, because while they're trying to scramble to catch up or get the jump on Bryson or keep up with him, they might spin their tires more than needed because they weren't expecting him to get on the pedal so soon. So pulling out ahead here, like we saw in the beginning of stage 1, Adam Benefield kind of hanging back here, it seems like, as Robert Miller looking like he's going to be the guy to challenge Bryson soon.
Yeah, Robert Miller definitely seems to have a good car. It's getting better throughout the race in that number 21 MBNA machine. But man, Bryson, just with so much short run speed, I'm interested to see how this converges later on, because we know that 21 has a bit of a long run setup, and we know, I think all of the high side team cars up there have short run setup. So I think we're going to see a bit of a battle as this progresses, given that we don't get any caution flags. And man, the line that they're running here, Ash, I'm watching these guys run around this track, and I've noticed that the entire race, as on your screen, you're currently looking at the number 4 as well as the number 74 of Brian Branham. They are currently engaged in a bit of a battle there with the number 2 machine. But when you watch them work their way around this track, and I think you noticed this as well, Ash, and when they go into the corner, they enter so low, and they slide up towards that wall. And every time, I'm thinking, man, they're going to slide up. They're going to hit the wall. And they never do. So I got to wonder, is the air bubble that iRacing put in place really that strong? Or are these guys just riding that line where they can just catch that car before it gets up into the wall?
Yeah, and it's probably a mixture of both. And honestly, that air bubble probably changing the way these cars drive. But if you'll notice, and something they pointed out since we just saw the revealing of the Next Gen Cup car this week. It's a fantastic looking car. It's available in iRacing now for everybody to try. But the Cup drivers for the Pro Invitational, they debuted here at Darlington in that car. And one of the things they noticed was they had that, we had that new air bubble, but these cars that we see now, they're asymmetrical, meaning, the way the body is shaped, they get a lot of side force there off that right side of the car. And that's something that we're seeing on track right now. it's going to be interesting to see, you know, next season or whenever we go to the next gen Cup cars in the 100% Cup Series, you know, how they're going to deal with that when they don't have as much side force, because the cars are no longer asymmetrical. They are the same on both sides of the car, body-wise. That aero is going to be a lot different, and they're not going to be able to make advantage of this air bubble like they are here at Darlington.
It's going to be interesting, and it's going to be a huge difference in aero for sure. And I think it's definitely a good change. I remember back in the Generation 4 cars, if anybody has been watching NASCAR long enough to remember them, they, they at one point had what they called the twisted sister body, which is a lot like what they run currently with this Gen 6, where one side of the car is different from the other. And the reason they do that is you want to direct as much air as you can onto the right side of the body, because that helps you turn left a little bit better. The problem with that is it makes it really hard to pass, because once you step out of the draft, once you get out of line, your arrow is completely out of whack, and you no longer have the handling that you really should have. So at one point in the Generation 4 car, they got rid of the twisted sister body and they made it symmetrical, just like this new 2022 car is going to be. And back then, it improved the racing tenfold, in my opinion. It really made it where it was a driver's race. You had to know the car. You couldn't rely on aero, and there was just a lot more overtaking opportunity. So I'm excited to see how that goes and what kind of changes that makes. But right now, that's that's a way off in the distance. They're running Gen 6 currently, and they have these bodies that are not quite symmetrical, that are very aero dependent and very, very, very temperamental. And they're doing their best out here trying to deal with it. And it's only going to get more difficult, of course, as these tires wear through this run. We did not have the early stage caution like we did in the first stage. So this entire stint so far has been under green. We've been green for about 14 and a half laps, which is roughly when the tire pace is going to start to fall off. I think the real plateau is going to be somewhere around lap 25. They're definitely getting there, and these cars are going to get more and more ill handling as they go on.
And these drivers really really showing that they've definitely kind of found a good rhythm here, and just again showcasing a lot of good talent here. As you know, this isn't an easy track to learn, or especially master in you know, a couple stages, let alone just the first one. So the fact that they're all keeping it green here is pretty impressive, to say the least. Speaking of impressive, we've got some big movers this race so far. Looking like Sean O'Brien Jr. In the 65 car, when he gridded 19th, and he's already up to 8th place. So definitely some big movers. Jason S. Taylor as well. So a lot of guys figuring out how to pass here at a hard to pass track, and figuring it out quick.
Yeah, Sean O'Brien Jr., he's one of those drivers. I'm glad you pointed him out. I've always kind of found myself keeping an eye on him every time he's been racing this year. Obviously, I have a bit of a different perspective from the official broadcast view. I'm in the race. I'm watching everybody from my own view here. And I always find myself gravitating to that 65, because this is what he does. He starts towards the back. He makes a lot of overtakes. And even when he doesn't have the fastest car on the track, he seems to make the most out of it. And he seems to be really good at knowing his limits. He knows if he's got an 8th place car, he's going to run 8th place. If he's got a 5th place car, he's going to run 5th. If his car is 17th or 18th in pace, then that's where he's going to run it. He's not going to push that car. He's not going to do something crazy and overdrive it and wreck it and bin what could be a good run. He just kind of runs what the car gives him. And sometimes that does cost you wins, not pushing too hard. For the most part, it grants you consistency. It lets you finish the races as good as you possibly can, as often as you can. And when you do that, you're going to really come home pretty good in the points. And I think that's what Sean O'Brien Jr. is trying to do in that number 65 machine. But on your screen, that is a battle currently going on. The track looks like it's spearheaded by Chad Edwards in that number 4, as well as Dalton Mobley in that number 77, who just got overtaken by Damaris Hickenbottom in that 09 machine. Damaris, he doesn't... he's not been too pleased with the camera time we've given him on the broadcast, to say the least, because it seems like every time we talk about him, something bad happens. I mentioned him last week. He spun onto pit road. I mentioned him the week before that. He was in the process of going behind the wall. And as I'm talking about him, I don't know if you guys saw that, he got into the wall right there and dented in the right side of his car. So the curse continues. I apologize to Maris.
I think he's doing it on purpose, Damaris. I'll keep an eye on him for you, buddy.
I feel like he's got the broadcast open in the background. Like he's got 2 monitors set up. He's got the broadcast turned on. And every time he hears me utter his name, he
like,
immediately
oh,
does it intentionally. He's trying to make it look like I'm cursing him. I have no doubt in my mind.
Hey, don't you turn this around on Damaris.
I mean, he is the one that signs our paychecks, so
he's the victim here.
no jinx here, as you can see on the driver bio box. But Damaris, I don't want to curse him. Confidence meter 1,000%. He's having a good night tonight. He's running in the top 15. Seems to have a pretty solid car. And we're going to keep an eye on him, but not too close of an eye on him. Because if we do, I'm afraid I might actually make him spin on the pit road or do something different. So we're going to move away from there and let him run his race in peace.
Speaking of keeping an eye on him, I think Bryson's going to have to keep an eye on Robert Miller here. As he kind of backed off a little bit.
Oh, no! It almost happened again. We got to get the camera off of him. We got to get the camera off of him. No! Brandon Pierce, hard on the outside wall, down into the inside wall, sliding back.
Oh, man.
No! No! Oh.
Oh, man. You could not have a... I think somebody's getting fired after this.
Oh. Ladies and gentlemen,
man.
I just want to say it's been a pleasure working for True Ride TV. I thoroughly have enjoyed my time broadcasting these races for everybody. I want to thank the league admins, Damaris Hickenbottom.
No, he is not thanking you, buddy.
And Kevin Steele for having me on. I am 99.9% sure I will not have a job after tonight. So with that, I just want to get out a thank you as we take a look at the replay.
Oh, man.
Oh, I don't want to see it again. Why are we looking at this again? So on board with the number 09, Damaris Hickenbottom. We got some lap traffic. That's Brandon Pierce. Just nowhere to go. Nowhere to go. Gets into the rear end of him, spins around.
It just looked like he slid up the track. He was down on the apron, way down low by the inner, the inner wall, and he just kind of tried to get up on the apron and slid up the track and just right in front of Damaris. No time to react.
No, I think there was nothing Damaris could have done in that situation.
I'm wondering what the 38 was doing there,
Well, see, I don't think in that situation, he hit the wall. He bounced down into the infield there. And when he slid up like that, you can see that tire smoke coming out of his right rear. He wasn't in control of that thing. He was doing his best to keep it in line and not spin around and collect a bunch of people. Yep. There was nothing he could have done different. That was just a bad situation all around. One that probably has now cost me my job. Oh boy. Well, at least, I don't even know if I want to say this now. At least Damaris is still on the track. The car is maybe not in tip-top shape, but he's able to keep it out on the track, continue participating in this event. So the driver's going to make their way down pit road. We're going to throw it to a quick break, and we're going to come back and drop the green flag for all the action here for the Burdvision TV 400. And we are back at Darlington for the running of the Burdvision TV 400, where the lights are off on the pace car and everybody is working their way through turns 3 and 4. And I'm working my way to the unemployment line as the pace car makes that hard left turn. Bryson again with an early jump, a little bit earlier than the last time. And he's going to get out to about a 2 to 3 car length lead immediately before they even reach the stripe. Robert Miller managing to fend off the 83 Adam Benefield, so he's going to slot back into second, where he's been running the majority of this stage. And of course, Ashton, we are not too far into this stage, but you got to think eventually these guys are going to start thinking about their pit sequences and when they're going to come in, because it is ending at lap 185. We're currently on lap 118, so if they're going to split it in half, I would say somewhere around lap 130, 140 is where they're going to want to bring it down pit road.
Yep, it'll be interesting to see. The top 5 actually did pit on that caution sequence, so they are on fresh tires and fuel. So it'll be interesting to see if maybe, like you said, they do split it where they probably normally would, or maybe they push it a little bit longer and go for a little bit of strategy here. As we see Bryson pull off with a healthy lead again. Interesting to note, the past 2 restarts and the past 2 runs here, Adam Benefield uncharacteristically dropping back. I don't know if that's just the setup, or maybe he's just kind of got some strategy going here. Maybe he's saving the tires, maybe just hanging back, seeing how everything plays out. But definitely weird to not see him breathing down Bryson's neck here in stage 2 when we saw him all over in all of stage 1, putting the pressure on. So.
Absolutely. And the leaders, honestly, the top 5 that pitted, like you mentioned, they actually may, and don't quote me on this, I am not good at fuel mileage. I don't know exactly what their runs are. They might be good at the end if they were to conserve, but we're still going to see some green flag pit sequence action because we had a lot of cars take the wave around. If you remember, there were 6 cars on the lead lap prior to that caution. All the way back to 11th has taken the wave around. So that's about 6 cars, give or take, that did not take tires, did not take fuel. They're on older equipment. And eventually they are going to have to pit, whether they split it in half or they go a little bit further. Only time will tell. But that caution happening when it happened really, I think, shook up this stage, Ashton, because now you've got leaders probably thinking, man, maybe I can make it. Maybe I can try to conserve. Or at the very least, maybe I can just come in right at the end of the stage and take a splash and go, or whatever they may have to do to get those stage points. And then you've got the other guys that, they have to pit, and they're going to have to try and reintegrate into traffic and find their track position regardless. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder, and these top 5 guys, they were sitting pretty comfortably. They knew, well, we're the only guys on the lead lap. As long as cautions don't come out, we're guaranteed a top 5, some stage points, a decent, stage finish here. It's going to be a good points day. Now you've got at least 11 drivers there, so one guy is going to be out of the stage points here. So definitely something to think about. Now a little bit more pressure being added, and as we get more cautions that bring the field back together as this race goes on, we're going to see the pressure keep building until finally somebody's going to crack under the pressure. It's going to be interesting to see who holds on for dear life here at the Lady in Black and who just can't hack it. And I would definitely think that strategy is going to be the key factor here to winning this race. I think it's going to come down to either a late race restart or, who's got the better tire strategy here? Who saves enough tires to squeak one out here?
And it is going to be tough to save tires because this track is so one line. It's not like you have multiple options at your fingertips where you can just be like, oh yeah, I'm going to run the bottom or I'm going to run the top. It seems like everybody is running near identical lines, as we kind of talked about earlier, Ashton. So I think you're right. If you can manage to save the tires a little bit here and there, however you manage to do that, however you find a way, if you can, that could be all the difference in the world, especially in terms of long run speed. So it's a good point. It's a good point. And I don't know how they're going to do it, though. I think they're going to save. Whoa, the leader getting into the 19, and that allows the number 21 to slingshot around into P1.
Robert Miller taking great advantage of that situation there, and it looked like Bryson was maybe gonna, navigate the traffic a little better this time, but it just not the case as the lap car swinging wide there, and Bryson not expecting that.
Well, and I'll tell you what happened right there, and that was a situation where you cannot blame Alex Brinson in that number 19 machine. We're going to take a look at a replay, and I want you to look at where he caught him. So coming out of turns 2, He caught him right as he exited the corner. And here's the problem with that. Alex Princeton cannot dive his car down low to get out of the way of the leader. If he does that, his car is going to spin out. There's nothing he can do about that. The exit of the corner is so loose and so temperamental. His only option, if he doesn't want to wreck, is to hold his line. Now, if you're the leader in that situation, if you're Bryson Hixenbaugh, your only option is to check up until he can move down low. Nobody in that situation could have done a single thing differently than they did. It's just unfortunate for Bryson that it played out that way. Yep. Meanwhile, the number 21, Robert Miller, he saw that happening in front of him. He probably saw that lap traffic going into the corner, and he knew about when Bryson was going to catch him. Used it to his advantage, took the lead for the first time, and he is going to lead himself some laps in that LMM number 21.
Yep, not a bad drive for his debut here in the 100% Cup Series in that 21 car, and he's definitely starting to learn what Bryson and Adam were dealing with at this traffic now. His first time dealing with the traffic as the leader. Definitely trying to time it right to where he catches him on the straights, which is costing him a little bit.
Whoa, we got a wreck in front of the leader. Samuelson spinning ahead of the leader. Somehow Robert Miller able to avoid him. And the number 16 is going to get it gathered up, I believe. Nobody else involved. That was an incredibly close call. We're going to try to get a replay. I'm sorry to cut you off there, Ashton, but that was really...
was definitely crazy. And Bryson being a
benefactor there for sure, but we're going to take a look at a replay. Top right of the screen. Looks like Samuelson just got loose on the straightaway. Yep. Not sure what happened. Maybe just caught a bump on the track the wrong way, but that was a very scary moment if you are the leader and you see all that tire smoke crop up in front of you.
A lot of right rear damage there to that car too from that. So definitely a close call, and that could have brought out a caution and put more cars on the lead lap. So I'm sure all the leaders are definitely breathing a sigh of relief. I know Bryson kind of did not benefit from that. He was out of the top three, the one who kind of got a little messed up by checking up there, and Adam Benefield taking a second from him now. It seems like he's lost all his momentum he had, as Robert Miller pulling out to a healthy lead here.
Yeah, Robert Miller is pulling away, and Bryson seems to be a little off pace, like you mentioned. Adam Benefield did just overtake him for second. Bryson, he didn't even put up a fight. He got to the exit of the corner, he dove down low, and basically told Adam to take the position. Yep. So maybe not feeling too confident in that number 63 machine. Obviously, we heard in the interview that he is not liking the way that car is handling. Even if it's fast, even if it's pretty capable on the track, it's maybe just not the most comfortable car to drive. So we're going to have to see if he can make some adjustments down the line. And Robert Miller just on the rails right now, continuing to extend the gap over Benefield. 1.7 seconds now as he navigates more lap traffic.
Between the couple of checkups he had, maybe the 63, just kind of wearing the tires out a little quicker than expected, and maybe that's what's happening right now, is he's just got a lot less grip level than he would have had, had he not had to check up those couple of times that cost him both the lead and second place.
Absolutely, he could have overheated his tires a little bit, and maybe even flat spotted him with a little bit of a slide that he had there. Could have been any number of things, but I believe I just heard maybe Cameron Stone, if I heard that correctly, saying that he was going to pit in. So I guess these leaders, no, Cameron Stone stays out on the track. I'm not sure who I heard. We do have a car on pit road.
Sorry, Sean O'Brien pitting, seems like.
Preston McRae as well in that number 53 Rusty Wallace throwback came down pit road.
And about where you said they would start, pitting for splitting the stage in half. So interesting to see if the leaders stay out or if they pit and say, why not get the fresh tires, try not to get ran over here in the closing half of the stage.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what strategy they pull. I mean, they got a lot of options for sure. I mean, I think fresh tires are very valuable here. I mean, we've seen the lap times fall off by more than 2 seconds on worn tires, so could be a good option to, even if you pitted during that last caution, maybe taking tires at some point in this stage, even if you could make it on fuel. But again, I'm not entirely sure what their fuel run is.
As Robert ran a 30.9 that last lap. We'll see what he runs here. 30.952, so he's maintaining 30.9 still, on the tires they have. So I think they stay out here. And interesting to note, he's already lapped. We had 11 cars in the lead lap on the restart. He's already lapped 4 of them, and we only have 7 cars in the lead lap again. So these leaders still showing that they are the dominant cars right now in this race. It'll be interesting to see if that changes during stage 3. What happens? Maybe somebody gets taken out. Maybe somebody just doesn't make the right changes. Definitely going to be a toss up here as the race goes on. I don't think we have seen the end of this yet, or what it's going to look like.
Either. Adam Benefiel and Bryson behind the leader. The gap is about 1.3 seconds to Benefiel. Benefiel on a few laps here has been faster than the leader, as has Bryson. They've both caught the leader ever so slightly, but it seems like it's not at a consistent rate. Bryson last time around ran a 31.0, as did Adam Benefiel, and the leader ran a 30.8. So 0.2 faster for the leader that time, but the lap before that, cars behind were 0.1 faster. So really just a lot of trading off lap times. The cars here, it's just not consistent. When the car is slip sliding in every single corner and you're always counter steering, it's hard to click off consistent laps and really run somebody down at a pace that is, I guess you could say, methodical. You kind of just have to take what you can get when you can get it. And that's definitely what Benefiel and Bryson are doing. They're doing their best to run down the leader. And again, they have ever so slightly chipped away at that lead. But right now, I think the control car is Robert Miller. He's in the lead. He's got a lot of clear track ahead of him. No lap traffic, save for one car that's a ways out there. And, we are approaching the end of the stage. We got, as he crosses the line this time, it'll be 40 to go in the stage. And we're getting down to the end of it. So just going to have to see what he does. Does he pit? Does he stay out? What is the fuel mileage for these leaders? I don't know. Again, I'm not a mathematician. But what I do know is that this running order we're seeing right now may not necessarily be what we have at the end of the stage.
Interesting to note. Looks like possibly the 74 of Brian Branham bringing her down pit road and possibly putting her behind the wall for the night. Doesn't look like he's coming back out.
And sometimes you have a lot of damage, and it's early in the race, and you know that car is just never going to be able to compete because it's just got so much damage. It's not handling the way you want it to, and you just kind of feel like, what's the point? And you park it. It's very easy to get discouraged when you get damage early in a race, especially if it's something that really wasn't your fault. And I know that Ian Branham had been struggling with that rear end damage pretty much since that lap 1 incident, where he was kind of just an innocent bystander and all of that. I think in Branham's shoes, he ran 143 laps with a wounded horse, and he said, all right, I've had all the fun I can take for tonight. We're going to take her behind the wall and just watch the rest of the race from the infield.
Yep, frustrating for sure. Definitely a track where things can boil over and you want to quit and say, all right, I'm done here. And you almost, if you've ever ran Darlington, for those that have, you know, it's not hard to get to that breaking point. We've all been there.
Absolutely. On your screen right there, that was Cameron Stone, who I believe is currently running 4th. And right now you're looking at Adam Benefiel, who is still P2. Update on the gap for the leader. It's growing. Adam Benefiel now 1.9 seconds back. Bryson 2.5. Cameron Stone in 4th, 6 seconds back. Jonathan Delaney behind him, 7.8 seconds back. But it seems like Robert Miller has the pace to beat late into the run. You mentioned earlier, Ashton, how he seems to have a long run car. And I think this run that he's got right now, where he is continuing to pull away from 2 of the fastest cars on the track, is just proving you right.
Yep. I think maybe he's shown his hand a little early here. Maybe he's found something that these guys haven't found. I know it's hard to set these cars up for this track because the 1 and 2 are so different from 3 and 4. It's so vastly different. And like we heard Bryson say at the end of stage 1 in his interview, he said he'd like to make some changes to fix it in 3 and 4 because that's where he's so loose, as we've seen all race. But if he does that, he's going to mess up his 1 and 2, where he seemed to pull away from Adam Benefiel in 1 and 2, but lose it all in 3 and 4. So going to be interesting to see how drivers set up their cars to kind of maintain a balance between the turns here, because it's so hard to do here.
I want to mention something that I heard come across the driver radio, and I'm going to knock on wood right here. Hear that? I'm knocking on wood because the last thing I want is for anything else bad to happen to Damar Sickenbottom in that 09.
He
But
who must not be named.
He came across the driver radio, and he has said that he may have potential radiator damage. It seems as though he is overheating at the moment. So hopefully he has some tape maybe on the car that he could remove. I would hope that he's not overheating with 0 tape. And he can get that situation fixed under the next caution, be it a caution for cause or the stage break.
And
we're just going to have to find out. Even with the wounded car, he is currently, if I can find him on track, he is coming down pit road, possibly to get some of that damage fixed. Currently being scored 21st, 7 laps down, working his way out of pit road. And I believe what he was able to do in that pit stop is going to solve his overheating issue, luckily. We'll keep an eye on that situation. But right now, on your screen, that is going to be a battle. Whoa, my goodness. Jonathan Delaney into the outside wall a little bit there. That's going to allow the number 37, Jason Taylor, to get around him on the bottom. And John Delaney continuing to bleed positions. I think this is because he's on older tires, and a lot of these cars passing him up are ones that made their way down pit road. They got those 4 fresh Goodyears. And that's the difference, folks. I mean, that number 9, as fast as he was dropping back off pace, that is tires right there. And 37 trying to make up some time on those fresh tires, as well as Alex Princeton, who, had that hard contact with the inside wall earlier in the race. He is going to be doing everything he can to salvage up a good
that 9 car. So.
Yeah, not too much damage.
Out there, I gotta say.
Yeah, he scraped the wall, but like you said, kind of got away scot-free. Doesn't look like any aero damage, just just some paint damage. And it's always sad to see such a beautiful paint scheme marred up. But it is John Delaney. We didn't expect him to walk away from this car, this race with a 0x necessarily.
Oh man,
we love you, John.
Beautiful paint schemes. We have a lot of beautiful throwback schemes this weekend. I gotta say, I'm really loving that 57 of Cameron Stone there, that Coors Light throwback there. It is a beautiful piece of machinery there.
Absolutely. A lot of really cool throwback schemes. Of course, Alex Princeton in that number 19. He's got the Interstate Batteries paint scheme. Jason Taylor running the old Kellogg's paint scheme. You've got one of the more interesting ones is Sean O'Brien Jr., and I believe his scheme in that number 65 is a tribute to Bobby Unser, the 3-time Indy 500 champion. You know how I know that? Because it's on the back of his car. It is on his bumper. I don't just know that offhand. I'm actually not as smart as that would make me seem. But it's an interesting throw. And as we pan through the field, and I'm sure as you guys watch at home, you're noticing that you may not recognize all these cars. And it's the fact that they're running these gorgeous throwback schemes. Of course, number 38, Brandon Pierce with a Castrol throwback scheme himself.
Jason Chambers with an AOL scheme. Definitely love that one. Definitely in my top, probably my top 3.
Absolutely, that AOL scheme is gorgeous. I couldn't figure out, though, if that was the Steve Park scheme or there was another driver that drove the AOL car after him. I can't remember who it was, but yeah, it's a beautiful scheme. I always loved that car back in the day. And
sad to see Kevin Steele retire early. He had a throwback to the greatest of all time, Jeff Gordon, in the Rainbow Warriors scheme. Love that car. Sad to see it exit the race early. Would have loved to see it up here on track battling in the top 10.
Yeah, definitely an unfortunate situation for Apex as a whole. Damar Sickenbottom, Kevin Steele both having issues, and of course Kevin Steele retiring like you had said. Just a rough situation all the way around, except for Cameron Stone, the lone Apex driver that is really having a good day out there. I mean, he's been running pretty much 4th all night long. I don't think other than the pit sequences, I don't think I've checked on him and seen him not in 4th. But we do have Adam Benefield down pit road, Ashton, and that's going to be interesting because he is the first among the top 3 to make his way down pit lane.
And it'll be interesting to see if the others follow suit, seeing Benefield pit, or if they just stay out and try to go for it, because I don't know if Benefield may have enough laps left with about 25 or so to go. I don't think he has enough laps to come back up there and pass him if he does go a lap down here or not. To make this work, maybe it's some kind of strategy for stage 3 here. It'll be interesting to see if maybe he assumes the lead on the stage end with this strategy.
Yeah, it could be that all the leaders have to pit, and he's getting the short stop strategy here and getting the jump, which, by the way, is how Bryson got back around him in stage 1, was taking that short stop strategy. So we know that strategy works at this track, and now Benefield trying to employ it, and we're going to have to see how that works out for him. But I'm curious, when do these leaders pit? Because they, right now, seem to be pretty dedicated to staying out on the track, despite their lap times really starting to plummet. I mean, the leader last time around ran a 31.4. And actually, meanwhile, all this has been going on. Bryson brought it down from a 2.4 second lead down to 1.6. So Bryson has gained quite a bit of time. I say that now it goes back down to 1.8, so not quite the best lap for Hickson-Bob, but overall, it's still a net gain. He has been closing in on the 21. So that's interesting, Ashton, because we haven't seen long run speed out of this 63 tonight. It seemed like he was really powerful on the short runs, and now he's come into life really late in this stage.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. Maybe he's found something here, or maybe it's just having Cameron Stone or whoever right behind him. Actually, I believe it looked like Cameron Stone, but I'm not sure who's behind Bryson Hickson-Ball there. But I believe that's the 88 car, pushing him a little bit, maybe giving him some kind of boost here, or maybe he's just figured out how to run in traffic a little better. As we see Adam Benefield, he is lapped down, but he is not far behind Robert Miller and them, probably about half a track. I mean, on those fresh tires, he's going to catch up to him pretty quick. It would not be hard for him to unlap himself, or at least be in the lucky dog position here. Definitely curious to see what his strategy is going to be, as it doesn't seem like the leaders are going to pit anytime soon. As we get to, about 20 to go, I don't think we see them pit.
I don't know, man. I feel like maybe they can make it to the end, given where we had the caution, but that would be quite a stretch, and we're just going to have to see, have they been conserving? What have they, what do they got up their sleeves? Because I'll tell you right now, if they do pit, if the number 21 pits, if Bryson Hickson-Ball pits, Benefield wins this stage. He's been out there on fresh tires for so long now, while these guys are out here running around, 31.5s, 31.4s, that there is no way Benefield does not inherit the lead in that situation. So for Robert Miller, for Bryson Hickson-Ball, your option is, and a caution!
Out as you say that.
Oh my goodness. And you want to know the gut-wrenching part of that, Ashton? Adam Benefield is not the lucky dog.
Oh, man.
So he's going to have to take a wave around on slightly older tires, while Robert Miller, Bryson Hickson-Ball, Cameron Stone, John Delaney, and Brandon Pierce can all come down pit road, get 4 fresh Goodyears, and they're good to go. So
definitely not an ideal situation for Benefield.
No, he can take that wave around. He can get on the lead lap, but at this point, he will be on roughly 7 to 8 lap older tires. I don't know exactly when he pitted, but definitely long enough ago that it's going to make a difference, and he's going to have a rough time. So we're going to try to identify what happened as we look at the replay there on your screen. We have identified it in the number 2 with a hard hit down into the inside wall, then up the track, then into another car there, and a lot of chaos breaking out as we take maybe one more look at it here, if we can. You can see there is the number 63 on your screen going down low. As we are looking at the pacing, I believe, that's the 88 on your screen there. Once again, I'm going to queue up this replay if we can, and... Oh, nope, that was the replay. That was the replay. We got it. Okay. Everybody making their way down pit road. I think this is expected, Ashton. All the leaders. I mean, when there's 6 cars, on the lead lap, you have to pit, right? I mean, there's no reason not to.
Yep, as the 2 collected in that. And it's interesting to see the 2 has put it behind the wall, but the 88 also pulled off track and put it behind the wall. Not sure what's going on with the driver of the 88, Craig Fryer there. Not sure. He wasn't involved in the incident, but takes it off the racetrack.
Yeah, might have had a little bit of damage there. Maybe honestly a hardware failure. The way he dove down onto the apron, very reminiscent of the times that we've seen where a driver's monitor is shut off, or their VR headset is disconnected, and they just dive down into the infield and tow.
Yep.
So not entirely sure, but he did disconnect. So maybe not a hardware failure, maybe just a little bit of damage that he just wanted to take it behind the wall. Not entirely sure, but a lot of cars making their way down pit road now that we're a lap down. Obviously, the leaders had their turn down pit road last time. Now, everybody, Jason Chambers, Dalton Mobley, Carl Felver, Devin Medeiros, all these guys working their way down pit road. Mason Lowry as well. But tell you what, this restart is going to be a battle because we're going to be restarting with, I believe, less than 15 to go, depending on how many more pace laps we do here. So it's going to be a short dash to the end. We got some very competitive cars up front. Bryson Hicksonbaugh, Cameron Stone, John Delaney, Robert Miller, all these guys with cars that could potentially take home this stage win.
This will be the first time that Cameron Stone has started in third place right behind the leader. So it'll be interesting to see. He's been in fourth the whole race, just hanging in there. Yeah, I know we've talked about these front 2 or 3 a lot, but I mean, let's talk about Cameron Stone and young John Delaney. Do they maybe have something here in the closing laps as we get closer to stage 3? We got to start thinking maybe these guys haven't been showing their hands. Maybe they've got something in store for Bryson Hicksonbaugh or Robert Miller or even Adam Benefield if he gets back up there. You know, maybe we see something from these guys.
Absolutely, and the lights are off on the pace car, so all of the drivers who are taking the wave around, which is, well, the majority of the field, are going to be working their way around the track to catch up to the tail end, while the 21 and 63 are going to scoot on up to that pace car and take their positions 1 and 2. Robert Miller, very similar to Bryson, he's choosing the inside lane. No leaders have taken the outside really yet on any of these restarts, and I think there's a good reason for that. But you mentioned Cameron Stone, this is the first time he's restarting on the inside line there in P3 right behind the leader. And I'm curious to see what difference that makes for the 57. Can he get out in front?
Interesting to note that the 21, this will be the first time that Bryson has not led the field to green, so it'll be interesting to see now that Bryson can't take off like that, if Robert Miller takes a note out of his book or does the same.
Right, and we know that the 63 has some decent short run speed as the green flag flies and the 21 gets a bit of a jump. Everybody in the top 4 is going to single file out. So now as they go into turns 1 and 2, we're going to find out what exactly does Bryson have for that number 21 car. Is he faster on these short runs? Does he feel a little bit more comfortable in this car? Has he made some adjustments? Those are all things we're going to probably be able to assess as they work their way through 3 and 4. And 21 continuing to pull away a little bit. He got away in 1 and 2. Now in 3 and 4, he's going to pull away a little bit more. Behind them, Cameron Stone falling back a little ways off the bumper of Bryson Hicksonbaugh, and Jonathan Delaney also falling back a ways.
Yep, and you notice that the 21, his restart was not as powerful as Bryson's. He didn't really get on it and get away from the second place car like Bryson was able to do, but still able to masterfully pull away without that extra boost at the restart.
Absolutely, and Adam Benefield right now, he had to start at the tail end of the field. He just got around the 37 of Jason Taylor, who was in the wall when he passed him. A lot of ground to make up as he is continuing to just carve his way through the field. He's currently being escorted in 7th, and he is on the lead lap, but again, he is 8 seconds back off the leader, so a lot of traffic in front of him that he has to try and navigate. And being on lap 167 out of 180 in the stage.
Cars get loose there. Not sure who it was.
So that might have been maybe Cody Bird. I'm not entirely sure.
Possibly looked like Brandon Pierce and Mason Lowry there.
It sounds like it was a green car, so that might have been Mason or maybe Alex Brinson.
Yeah, right behind Adam Benefield, and them looked like coming out of turn 2.
Interesting. Ooh, side by side. Look at that. Way down on the apron he went, and now back up to the top of the track there. Don't see these guys utilizing the apron like that too often, so that was quite a move, I would say. by the driver that I believe is at the 23. Quite a move indeed.
Yep, still pretty racy here. And yeah, interesting to know, Adam Benefield, he's got a lot of work cut out for him. He may be on the lead lap, but he did not get to pit, I believe. Like you said, he probably had to take the wave around there. And I mean, he's on those older tires. He's probably got about, 15 laps on those compared to these guys?
Yeah, they're definitely older than the leader's tires, and I think lap times kind of show that. If we look at Adam Benefield, he ran a 29.4 last time around, and our current race leader ran a 29.1, so he's about 3/10 off the pace, which, yeah, that's about a 10-lap difference in tire, roughly, and he's definitely not going to be catching the leaders by the end of the stage, but being on the lead lap, taking that wave around, that was the smart call, even if he has to drive around in these older tires, because now, when we get to the end of this stage, he can come down pit road on the lead lap. He's going to be restarting roughly 7th in line, which isn't that far back. And we know he's got a fast car, so with only a handful of cars to try and pass, I think he's going to be back in the game. It's just that caution coming out when it did just set him back for this stage particularly.
Yep, absolutely. And your leaders were running almost identical lap times, but now Bryson's starting to show he's about just a 10th slower that lap.
Yeah, it really seems like that 21 just has a lot of pace, and I'm noticing the 63 is driving it into the corners a little bit deeper as the caution flies again. I don't know what happened here. We're going to have to try and identify that. I don't think that... it sounds like Jason Chambers involved. We're going to take a look at the replay here on 3Wide TV. Looks like they're going into turns 1 and 2. Down on the apron, they're going to be bumper to bumper. And the number 1, that's Dustin Hall. Oh, just hard in the outside wall and a huge impact. Whoa, man, and a narrow miss. I can't believe that 30 car was in working condition after that hit the inside wall. We're going to take a look at the onboard here with Chambers as he comes around 3 and 4. You can see that steering wheel. He is working that thing. And just he hits this bump coming out of the turn, slides up the wall. And it's hard into that inside wall. We've seen that a lot of times here in the past at this track.
Turn 2 is proven to be a lot trickier for these guys than 3 and 4, it seems like. It seems like they're a little bit loose in 3 and 4, but 2 just kind of sneaks up on them. They feel comfortable with that wider arc. They get all that momentum. They think, man, I'm gonna really be booking down the back straightaway, and then it comes up before they can realize it, or they get loose trying to turn it right or left, I mean, and there they go.
And you know what this did? If this goes green before the end of the stage, which I believe it will, because the stage is going to be at lap 185, I do believe. I'm going to double check that. Yes, lap 185, end of the stage. We're going to have a short little shootout here. And the difference now, Ashton, is that Adam Benefield's on the lead lap. He can take tires. But if you're Bryson, if you're Cameron Stone, you just took tires 3-4 laps ago. You don't want to maybe waste a set when you've only been on these ones for so long.
Interesting to note, Robert Miller actually pitted.
It's an interesting call. I think maybe he just thought those tires were worth it, and I don't blame him. We've seen how important tires are all night long. So he's going to be starting roughly P6 with Adam Benefield in P7 right next to him.
And you have to figure with as few cautions as we had up until this string of cautions here, I think we're only sitting at they've probably got about 4 sets left, I think.
I think they got a little 4 sets depending on some of these drivers. But I tell you what, I don't know. It's going to be hard for that 21 to make the passes, even with the slightly fresher tires, unless he's just planning on not pitting at the end of this stage. Who knows?
We have seen the 21 is one of the few drivers that he's a little bit more adept at passing these guys in the right places here. He's definitely got an eye for finding an opening and capitalizing on it.
And again, it's not too many cars he's got to work his way around. It's just time not being on his side. That's the biggest factor. So few laps to work with. Same thing for Benefield. but we're waiting right now for the lights to go off on the pace car, as I believe this time around they should go off. We're going to double up, and I think Cameron Stone that is going to start alongside Bryson on row 1. So it's going to be interesting. Cameron Stone, he's slowly been working his way up the grid, and now for the first time of the race, or at least for a restart, he's going to start right there on row 1 with Bryson opting to take the inside line as we double up and the lights go off. So again, we have yet to see a leader take the outside lane, and Cam's going to have to try to make it work best he can. Jonathan
And
Delaney.
I think it's funny to note, Cameron Stone has been up there all race. He's seen what Bryson's been doing on the restarts. We know that these two have a history, and Cameron Stone is definitely going to give Bryson a hard time as much as he can as possible, and vice versa. So it'd be interesting to see if Cameron lets him get away with, these, jumps on the restart, or if he tries to kind of hang with him there and put the pressure on as we get to probably about 3 to go. 2 or 3 to go in the stage.
No, it'll be roughly, I believe, 11 go, or I'm sorry, 12 to go in the stage when we go green.
12 to go.
It is lap 185 as Bryson with a huge jump at the drop of the green flag, even bigger than his previous restart. He is immediately out to a nearly 6-car length lead, with Jonathan Delaney trying to side draft Cameron Stone, but he thinks better of it. He got up to the quarter panel and then backed off. Now he's riding pretty much in the tire tracks of the 57. Question is, how much short run speed does the 57 have, and also how much time can Robert Miller and Adam Benefield, the drivers who chose to pit, make up? Are they going to be able to get to the front like they hope, as Robert Miller is actually going to make a really good pass on Brandon Pierce right there, now trying to get around Kyle Lamoon? That would put him up into 4th place, so from 7th to 4th in 1 lap. I don't know, he's got a little bit of time to work with. He might be able to get up into 2nd, and Benefield behind him is kind of doing the same thing. He hasn't quite got around Pierce yet, but he is closing the gap, and he has a lot of speed. Brandon Pierce coming across the radio, he said, take it at him. So he gave him the position, and all this is going on. We're taking a look at the leader, who continues to pull away, and you can see right behind him there, that's Cameron Stone, Jonathan Delaney. Very similar in pace, but it is, I guess, 1 to go in the, swear the pamphlet said 185. We're going to find out, I suppose. Anyways, the leader continuing to work his way around the track as drivers are really lighting up the radio, Ash. I'm hearing a lot of chatter. I think these guys trying to take everything that they can. Oh, where did he come from? That's Robert Miller in that 21. Tell you what, he might do it, Ash, and he is charging to the front.
Yep, he is on a mission as he is trying to get past the 57 here. I'm sure Cameron Stone's going to fight him for the stage points.
He's definitely going to fight him for the stage points, but I'm not sure how much he's going to be able to fight him, as the 21's going to get around him there on the low line, then sliding up to work that high line.
It just seems like that 57 car not able to hang with these top 2 here. He just missing a little bit on these short runs, that he's just, I don't know if maybe he's hanging back on purpose, but I'd almost wager that he's missing a little bit on the setup there.
Could be, and we're going to be at 3 to go in the stage when they cross the line this time. Robert Miller is rapidly closing the gap to Bryson. I don't doubt that he's going to get there before the end of the stage, but as you've heard so many times, getting there and actually making the pass are 2 very different things. 0.4 of a second, so actually that time around, Robert Miller closed in at 0.3 in 1 lap, bringing it from 0.9 down to about 4. So
he just pulls up to the back bumper there.
And he's going to try it. He's to the quarter panel of the 63. He does let off a little bit. They're side-by-side through 3 and 4. We don't see very much side-by-side action. A lot of the overtakes we've seen have been the drivers giving it up and letting them sort of take the overtake, but not at the end of the stage. As we come to lap 184, it's 2 to go in the stage. The 21 entering down low, sliding up in front of Bryson Hixenbaugh. He's got to keep it off the wall. Now he's got a lap and a half to go to get a stage win.
Awesome. 21 there in 1 and 2. And you think that 3 and 4 is the trickier one to go, side by side in, but 1 and 2, believe it or not, is harder. A lot of drivers, they try to go single file through there and give each other ground because they don't want to do it, because whoever's on the bottom, there's always that risk that they're going to slide up like we saw in the first lap of this race.
And it is the Our Publix Chicken Tenders on Sale.com one to go.
Robert Miller pulling away here.
Robert Miller, like you said, pulling away, and it looks like as he rounds 3 and 4, that is going to be a stage win for Loudmouth Motorsports from the 21. Robert Miller crosses the stripe for stage 2. Behind him, you've got Bryson Nixonbaugh P2, Cameron Stone P3, Jonathan Delaney P4, Kyle Lamoon with an impressive fifth-place rally. Adam Benefiel, who was on a similar strategy to Robert Miller, the exact same strategy, same tires, almost the same starting position, all the way back there in P6. Brandon Pierce P7. Dalton Mobley, who was the lucky dog last time for that restart, is going to finish that stage in 8th. The final 2 cars to get stage points this time around were both 1 lap down. Sean O'Brien Jr., that number 65, and Jason Taylor is going to bring it home 10th for that 1 stage point. And now we have everybody going to be working their way down pit road. Well, mostly everybody. I think there's a potential that some of these guys who just pitted maybe don't come in this time around. But we're going to wait and see if our stage winner does come down pit road. If he does, we're going to let him get his car serviced, and then we're going to try to have a word with him. If he doesn't pit, we'll just bring him in and see what we can't get from him.
Yep. And I don't know. It's from the driver radio. It sounds like maybe he'll pit, maybe he won't. I think we see a fake out here if he doesn't pit, as it looks like he's diving down. But no, he will take tires.
And he is going to bring it down pit road, like you said. Looks like Bryson cutting a little close to them sand barrels there, but yeah, I guess not too surprising to see everybody come down pit road. Also, I heard on the driver radio that it turns out I said that Benefiel was on the same tire strategy as the number 21. Turns out he actually didn't take tires. He had to step away from his computer for a minute. He parked in the pit stall and came right back. So that is why he did not make up the time that the 21 did. He was still on those older tires.
So definitely interesting to see that, he held on to the position he did on those worn tires, having tires a lot less fresh than the guys up front or around him.
He actually gained a position. He started that restart in 7th. He finished the stage in 6th. So he did a phenomenal job with the tires that he had. But we're going to bring in Robert Miller, our stage winner, for a quick word. So bring him into the booth. Robert Miller, this is Andre Grambush up in the 3-Wide TV booth. You got a copy?
What's up?
Well, Robert, you had a fantastic stage. You led the majority of it, and you came down pit road on that late caution, and it seems like that strategy worked out for you. What's your outlook going forward? Car feeling good?
Great, but on that restart, I managed to get some left front damage from getting brake check. Well, not really brake check, but avoiding a car in a wall. But it shouldn't be too bad. We'll see what happens here.
Well, barring the aero damage, how do you feel about the competition out there? What do you think? What do you think you got for Bryson Nixonbaugh and Adam Benefiel and some of these other guys that have been leading laps?
Bryson's got the short run on me, but as long as I can stay in front of him, I know I can pull once the tires start to wear off a little bit, and my car really takes off at the end of the run. It seems like Benefiel's got us in the middle of the run, but he's back behind a bunch of people, so we'll see how fast he can catch up to us.
All right. Well, again, congratulations on your stage win, Mr. Miller, and hopefully we're talking to you at the end of this thing.
Yeah, we'll see if it's changed pace since Martinsville.
All right. Yeah, good luck. That was your stage winner, Robert Miller, out of the booth. And you heard it there. He got a little bit of aero damage, a little bit of left front damage on that restart. And somehow, still managed to make some really great overtakes. So we're going to see how that affects him. But we are slowly winding down the laps. This is one of the longer races of this season, 293 laps around this circuit, which I believe is over 1.5 miles. So very long event, again, sponsored by Burdvision TV. Go ahead and check out Burdvision TV. Give Cody Bird a follow on his social medias. Give him a like. Tell him the 3-Wide TV sent you. Maybe go on Cameo and get him a cameo from Haley Deegan where she says hi to him. We are hopefully going to get this underway. I think the lights just went off on the pace car. And everybody who took the wave around is going to be trying to catch up to the tail end of the field. Robert Miller leading them to green alongside Bryson Hixenbaugh, Jonathan Delaney back there in third. And tell you what, Ashton, I think Jonathan Delaney is slowly starting to figure out that car, because the start of this race, he seemed kind of off pace. Like, he could run up in the top 5, he could stay on the lead lap, but he just wasn't quite there. And now what I saw from him at the end of that stage was he was faster than the 57, I believe, and he really seems to be just improving over the event that we see now. So I'm curious to see what he can do by the end of it. He's going to be restarting P3, and we all know that the bottom lane is, I think, definitely where you want to restart. I think it's kind of a rough situation when you have to restart on the top. But here we go. Pace car makes that left-hand turn. Where does Robert Miller get on the loud pedal? How much does that aero damage affect him?
And we just saw a restart reminiscent of Bryson Hixenbaugh there. That time he nailed it.
Absolutely. He got up to about a car length and a half, 2-car length lead, as John Delaney and Bryson Hixenbaugh are trying to stay in line with him. As John Delaney big loose out of turn 2. That's going to allow Cameron Stone to make a pass on the high side up into P3.
And you can't help but think that maybe that some of that right front damage to young John Delaney's car, maybe it's affecting the aero there in 1 and 2.
It is definitely a possibility, but I mean, you got to give props to John for that save too. I mean, he was really sideways. That car was starting to get away from him, and he was able to gather it up pretty quickly. Cameron Stone actually came across the radio and gave him an attaboy for that save. As now Menifield's working his way around the number 9.
Loses another spot to Benefiel. Got a little bit loose there, not as loose as that first time. And I mean, you can't blame the guy. You beat Cameron Stone off pit road. You're sitting in third there, right behind the leader. You see Bryson Hixenbaugh's bumper right in front of you, and you think, man, I gotta get to that bumper as quick as possible here early before it's too late. And he probably had a lot of momentum coming out of 2, and just got a little hungry with it, and it bit him a little bit, as he is now in 5th place behind Adam Benefiel.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there, and it's kind of an uphill battle, like I said, anytime you acquire any damage, so he's going to have to do his best to fight through it, and he's been running solid all night long. Like I said, he's been running in the top 5, and he has definitely had the pace to stay on the lead lap without question. Some of these guys, seems like their setups just aren't quite there. They're not feeling the car. John at least can stay on the lead lap. It's just he's struggled with just finding that little bit of extra pace. And John, he's a driver who I think he can really overdrive his equipment in a way. Like, you could give him a 10th place car and he's going to finish 5th. And to that rate, you could give him a 3rd or a 2nd place car and he might go out and win with it. So he might have damage and he might be fighting an uphill battle, but it's not over yet. He's got a lot of racing left to do. He can make some tweaks to that car if he needs to try to counter whatever ill handling effects he's getting from his damage. And towards the end of it, who knows? He definitely could be up front, especially if we were to get a late race restart, which this hasn't been exactly a caution-filled race by any means, but we have gotten a few yellows. It's not unprecedented, so it really could be out of the top 5 right now, anybody's game.
Yep, and like we said, there haven't been a lot of cautions, but we have had a lot of casualties this race, as we have guys, 16 laps down, still out there racing on the track, but Jason Chambers and
Whoa! Was a
so we have another almost caution there.
Yeah, I believe that. Actually, can't tell exactly who that was. Might have been the 44. Yeah, yep, that is the number 44 who got involved. What I'm hearing is that Drumhiller in that 44 got a little bit loose, and it might have been Chad Edwards who gave him a bit of a bump. I'm not entirely sure. I'm just going off the radio as we take a look at a replay on the top right of your screen. There's Chad Edwards in the number 4 behind Drumhiller. And there's the bump that I heard him talking about. And wow, that was close. Unfortunately, tagging that inside wall, he almost was able to avoid it. But that's what happens coming out of turn 2, Ashton. That inside wall, it gets to you quick.
Yep, it's crazy, all the momentum they're carrying right there. They get loose. It's there's a lot of counter steering involved, especially as the run goes on and the car gets looser, or if you're not careful and depending on how your car's set up, the car might get too tight through there, and that's why we've seen a lot of those guys smack that wall, because they just carried so much momentum. The car got tightened up on them on exit, and you know, they didn't have the grip to steer clear of the exit of 2, or they steered too much. They had too much grip.
Absolutely. And right now, the leader in that number 21 car, Robert Miller, he is coming around to take the stripe for lap 200. And I'll tell you what, Ashton, how about we celebrate reaching lap 200 with most of the field intact with a Shano FX overdrive. All right, and we are back for the running of the Burdvision TV 400 here at Darlington for the 100% Cup Series. The leader currently getting into a little bit of lap traffic. That's Tim Rail, his teammate, who is currently lapping, or at least the teammate for the race. He just navigated around the high line. And behind them, see, that's Bryson Itzenbach, who is slowly inching his way into the picture. The gap was about 1.2 seconds. Last time around, it was about 0.8. This time, I think you're going to see that it closed up a little bit more even because that lap traffic held up to 21. So now, as they cross the line, what is the gap? 0.6. So yeah, Bryson gaining 0.2 that time, closing the gap with more lap traffic in front of him. I think we got a battle for the lead brewing, Ashton.
It is, it's getting there, and we heard Robert Miller say, you know, Bryson's definitely got some short run speed, but at the same time, Bryson and Adam are both capable of catching him in the long run. So he's just, like he said, he talked about like really just staying out ahead of him. And I think this is the perfect time as we get less than 100 laps to go here. What do you think the keys to winning this race are going to be there, Andre?
Number one, survival. I mean, we've got a lot of drivers. You had mentioned it earlier, Ashton. A lot of drivers that have taken it behind the wall. Kevin Steele, Dakota Knoll, Brian Branham, Preston McRae, Craig Fryer, Tyler Pinsino, Damaris Hickenbottom, Jason Chambers. These drivers have all taken it behind the wall. And then beyond that, even the drivers that are still in the race, we've only got 9 drivers on a lead lap. I think the biggest key to winning this race is going to making to just make sure that you're there at the end to have a shot at it. Because I firmly believe, if I was a betting man, I'm going to say we're going to have a late race restart, and you got to be there to really give it everything you got.
Yep, absolutely. More than survival, I agree with you there, but I think the key to winning this race is going to be, you know, making sure you've got the freshest set of tires you can muster. But not only that, the biggest thing, and we saw it in stage 2 with Robert Miller, he controlled most of that stage and then rallied back to get the win there. I think the biggest thing is going to be controlling this race, and you can only do that from the front. And we've seen Bryson do it tonight. He stayed out front for quite a long time until finally, you know, these guys caught him, like Robert Miller and Adam Benefiel. And once you're up in the front, you got that clean air on the car, on the nose, and you can kind of see what's coming ahead of you. You got to worry about lap traffic, like you said, and surviving, but you can really control the race from the front there. And I think control is going to be key here, and especially on that late race restart you're talking about, that's probably coming up.
Absolutely. And right now, just an update on the lead. Robert Miller, the lead was down to 0.6 seconds. Now it is back up to 0.9. So he was pulling away from Bryson for a few laps there consecutively. Now he's in a little bit more lap traffic. So again, that's going to open up the window for Bryson to maybe chip away at a few tenths here and there. And of course, you mentioned that we know Bryson maybe has better long run speed than the 21, as does Benefiel. His car seems to come to life in the late run. So while he might be driving away with it now, if Bryson and Adam can really chip away at these tenths and just make sure they stay within distance of him, once they get towards the end of this green flag stint where they got to come in and pit, they know their car is going to come to life, and they just got to stay in striking distance for when that does happen. But again, a lot of lap traffic that this leader has had to deal with. Right now, I believe that's the number 15. Yep, the number 15, Carl Felber, ahead of the leader. He's going to duck down low. So no problems there. He got out of the way of the leader. And a lot of damage on that number 15. And I'm noticing damage on both sides of that car. So kind of a miracle that he's out there running the pace that he is. He is the number 15 car running 15th, 5 laps down. So, and he qualified 15th too. So a lot of 15s in that sense. It's all connected. The numbers, Mason. What do they mean?
I'm not sure our driver Mason Lowry even knows what you're talking about there.
Well, the other Mason, not that Mason. Anyway, still a 0.9 second lead. So it seems like even with the lap traffic, it's kind of affecting our two leaders very equally.
Like you said, Bryson just kind of keeping him in striking distance. I mean, we saw how quick earlier when Bryson had to check up. We saw, Robert Miller was about a second back as well, and it didn't take long for him to just squeak right by him and capitalize on that minor, inconvenience to the leader, Bryson Hitzenbaugh. So that's all it would take for the tables to be turned here for Robert Miller. So interesting to see.
Absolutely, and we do have two cars side by side right now. As you can see, that is, I believe, the number 56. There are two interstate cars out there, so I apologize if I'm incorrect there. Actually, no, that is
56 of Mason Lowry and Adam Benefield, I believe, as the caution comes out.
Well, that changes things. Not entirely sure what happened. Sounds like Jason Taylor and Ryan Samuelson. These guys were racing around each other a lot. They had a few close moments. We're going to see exactly what happened. Jason S. Taylor into the outside wall, sideways, overcorrects it, pings down to the inside wall, hard hit, all the way back up in the traffic, and T-bone by Ryan Samuelson. And that is horrible for Samuelson.
That has got to be a race-ending deal for Samuelson. The front end of that car is non-existent at this point. The engine is.
And as we look at the onboard, you can see the car just comes back up the track. He had nowhere to go. There was nothing he could have done. And it's a shame because Samuelson, he's had a string of good runs lately. He was shaping up to have maybe a top 10 run tonight. And as we go to our gyro cam, you can see this is pretty much what ended it. I don't think he's going to be able to get back out on track. That front end is just, like you said, it is gone. It is no longer of this earth.
And looking at the cockpit view here, he was battling the car in 3 and 4 there, trying to keep it straight. And man, yeah, the 37 came up right in front of him. He had no time to react.
No, he absolutely didn't. The leader, as well as Bryson Nixonbaum, made their way down pit road. They're going to get their cars serviced alongside a few other cars like Adam Benefiel and Cam Stone. But we're going to throw it to a short break, and we're going to bring it back at the Drop the Green for some more racing action for the Burdvision TV 400 here at Darlington. And we're back for the Burdvision TV Throwback 400. Joining us down at the Infield Care Center, Ryan Samuelson, who was involved in that incident. Ryan, you were having a pretty solid night all night long, and then, well, chaos in front of you, and you had nowhere to go. Walk me through what happened.
Yeah, I was catching Jason. I knew he had me on short run, and I was about like second half and in front of him. Next thing you know, I see him lose off the corner and then shoot back up the track, and I was already committed to going by on the wall, and it sucks. I just nailed him, and I felt like we're gonna have a good run. I felt like I was gonna be hovering around the 15th, 10th area range, and that's where we were most of the night. Up to that, I was pretty happy with the night. Darlington's one of the toughest tracks out there, and I felt like we're pretty good. And then later in the race, we're gonna probably gain more, and then that happened. So it's unfortunate.
Unfortunate. I always try to look at things a little bit optimistically, though, and like you said, Ryan, you had a fantastic run tonight, and that's just one of many. I mean, this season for you has been such a huge confidence booster. It had to have been. You've been running great all season long, and I would hope that at least your takeaway from that is that, yeah, it didn't end the way I wanted it to, but hey, you were running top 10 at Darlington, and that's no easy feat.
Yeah, it felt pretty good. I mean, had I not messed up some strategy points, I think I wouldn't have even been in that scenario. So it's a bit more back on me. Maybe if I had done something earlier with the strategy on the pit stops, I couldn't have been in this wreck. So just minor things I gotta work on.
Absolutely. Ashton, you got anything for Ryan?
Well, I mean, that wreck came out of nowhere. We were watching the cockpit view, and it just hard to anticipate that. It came out of nowhere. You had no time to react, so I wouldn't be too hard on yourself there, bud. Glad you're okay, and I mean, a lot of notes here, obviously, experience for you to take away for next time you come back here in the season. So, good luck, man.
It's good to see you, Ashton.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
You guys take care.
Yep, you too. Thanks, Ryan. That was Ryan Samuelson involved in that last incident. We've got Damaris Hickenbottom also in the Infield Care Center. We're going to take him in a minute, but right now the green flag is waving, and 21 jumps out to an early lead. We're going to keep an eye on that action, but let's go ahead and bring up Damaris, and let's go ahead and just get my my loss of a job out of the way now. Damaris Hickenbottom, you got a copy?
I do.
Well, Damaris, I want to say it's been great working for your league, but I don't know if you've seen the broadcast. I don't know if you've been keeping an eye on it in the background. I'm 99% sure you and Kevin are going to fire me. So we
don't know about that, Gert. What happened?
Well, okay, so you know how we've had the situation the last few weeks where we put the camera on you and then some bad stuff happens?
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Well, we might have been talking about you for the 4 laps leading up to your incident and during the incident. And, yeah.
Well, I'm sure my sponsors, NH Lawn Care and a billion other projects, they'll appreciate that nonetheless. I'm a little fuzzy. You got to be a little more specific. I've been in quite a bit tonight, Andre. So I don't know if you're talking about the one with the 38 or the thing with the 19.
Yeah,
We've been pretty banged up.
Earlier in the race with the 38, we were kind of joking around about the commentator's curse, and we were following along with you. And then the 38 got into the wall. He slid up the track, and you just had nowhere to go. So
Yeah.
a rough situation. I heard on the radio you were suffering overheating issues after that.
Yeah, it was weird. You know, and look, the 38, yeah, he got into the wall. There's, you know, he was along for the ride after that, so I understand that. Wasn't happy about it, but you know, those things happen. Yeah, man. After that, the car was fine. I mean, you know, the water temp was getting a little high, and you know, the crew chief was telling me that, but nothing that really affected the car. I just kind of went on my way and just kind of had to let off maybe a few feet before the corner I normally would. But when I came in for the pit stop, came out, for some reason, the oil temp and the water was going pretty hot and the engine was going to blow. So probably because of the fresh tires, I was able to run a little bit faster than I was before. So that might have been what got me. But yeah, I had to come back down, and unfortunately, man, that put me in a bad spot. And I was where I was when that second thing happened.
Definitely a rough night all around. It just seems like one thing leads to another at this track when it comes to incidents, and every little bit of damage seems to really impact these cars in a major way. Tell me a little bit about how the track is out there. I mean, how is the car handling, and how rough is it for these guys out on track trying to navigate this hot track surface and ill handling cars?
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. I mean, it's first off, the track surface is slick as all get out, man. You're already driving on ice with the 3,500-pound machines. I mean, it seems like everybody but Bryson and Robert, they're having issues. It's I mean, the track surface is slick, and on top of that, it's pretty hot out. I think we started with over 120 degree track temp, so that just adds to a lot of it. A lot of people fighting tight and loose conditions, or both at the same time. It's just hard to get a handle on it, you know. When we got some pretty long runs, I mean, we only had a few cautions here, so that throws another thing in the mix of while you're trying to decide what to do with the tires and the strategy and the grip. Your car is fighting you that whole time. So I mean, it's pretty tough. The guys out here doing a great job. But we've had some issues. I mean, it's tough all over. If you're good one lap, you're certainly not going to be good 5 laps from then. And the different spots, man, the track jumps up and gets you. And oh, by the way, that safer barrier will jump out and grab you too.
Absolutely. Ashton, you got any questions or anything for Damaris?
Just want to say, Damaris, huge fan. I warned Dirt, or Andre, sorry, and told him we should probably not try to curse in here, but hey.
It's true. Ashton was saying we needed to get the camera off you before anything bad happened, and Carlos and I didn't listen. We science went too far.
Science indeed went too far, or at least Andre did. So
it's all good, guys. Hey, look, I just got to do a better job of not getting stage fright when you put the camera on me. But no, I appreciate everything you guys do. Obviously, you do an awesome job like always, man. Ash, it's good having you back on the broadcast this week, man. So appreciate you jumping in.
Brother.
Yeah, man, you guys do great work. Obviously, Carlos in the truck, giving us the sights and sounds, man. So appreciate it. You know, I mean, you know, keep the camera on me, guys. Just, you know, maybe a little less next time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we're definitely gonna try to let you just run your races in peace from now on. I don't want to curse you again and potentially lose my job. So
Nah, it's all good. You guys are all good, man. Again, appreciate all the job you've done, man. Great broadcast. I'll jump back down on pit road here and see how this plays out.
All right, sounds good.
he's gonna win a race, and we're gonna be like, oh man, oh he won the race. Oh, well, we didn't see it, you know.
Yeah, he's gonna go out there. He's gonna win the race, and we're gonna be afraid to put. That's what's gonna happen. He's gonna be leading every lap of a race, and we're just gonna be thinking, now what? Do we show it?
Just show second place and say, well, he's catching the leader. We won't say who, but you know, y'all know.
Absolutely. So in the meantime, it looks like Robert Miller, you know, he said that damage was going to hold him back. He said that he wasn't sure that he was going to have the pace with that damage, but he's at a 1.5 second lead, and that is after dealing with a fair amount of lap traffic. So I don't think that damage is holding him back as much as he anticipated. And sometimes it is hard to judge. You don't know. You know, you could take, you know, one minor hit and you think, oh, the car's fine. And then you lose 1,000 RPM, and then sometimes you take a wallop of a hit and your car's just fine.
I just know anytime I take damage, I think, oh boy, like how bad's it gonna be?
Absolutely, and you never know. Like I said, you just got to figure it out. And I think Robert Miller's got it figured out. He's out there continuing to lead laps. Bryson 1.6 seconds back. Cameron Stoner in P3.
He's kind of reeled in Bryson there. Kind of seems like he's got the long run car figured out a little bit better here.
Yeah, that he has. Cameron has been reeling him in, and again, I feel like Cam is one of those drivers that when he wins, unless it's a track that he really, really likes, such as Martinsville or one of the other short tracks that he likes to go to, when he wins, it's usually not a dominating display. Usually it's a Kevin Harvick-esque, shows up when it counts and leads the one lap that counts, which is the last one. So as long as you see him in the top three and you see him, close enough to be competitive, you can't ever count him out. So running P3 right now, 2 seconds back from the leader. And definitely in good position right
honestly, not a bad strategy because it means you're unpredictable. These guys can't see.
Oh, the leader into the wall. Robert Miller scraped turn 2. Sorry to cut you off there, Ashton. Robert Miller riding the wall out of turn 2, lost a lot of speed.
Definitely some damage to the right front now. The right front fender definitely knocked in a little bit. It's going to be interesting to see how that affects his arrow.
And we do have a replay on the top right of the screen. You can see just a little bit too much throttle coming through the corner, and he scraped it. Maybe not as hard of a hit as I thought. We're going to have to see how that affects his car. But, man, he did. He scraped that wall, and now he did lose time, though. Bryson Ixenbaugh was 1.6 back, now 1.3.
Interesting to note. We lost 0.3, though. So, I mean, breathe a sigh of relief there, I guess. Doesn't seem to be affecting him too much. We'll see how, as the run goes on, if that damage really starts to affect how it handles that car.
And again, I think Robert Miller lucked out because last time around, the lap time differential, he pulled away from Bryson by about a tenth. So he brought it from 1.3 back to 1.4.
Does it seem get loose there off too?
Yeah, a little bit loose there. I think, sometimes when you get into the wall like that and you make a little bobble, it throws you out of the rhythm. And it almost takes a few laps to really figure things out again.
Definitely shakes you up, and you're just kind of you're worrying about the car. You're not worrying about hitting your marks as much anymore. You're kind of going a little bit into that panic mode, like we talked about earlier with the panic meter, so to speak. It spikes. It spikes, and so it takes you a minute to just take that deep breath and get back into it. Some drivers don't, and they drop. You'll see them drop a lot of positions, but obviously it's not the case with the 100% Cup Series guys. They a lot of them showing they can steel themselves against this stuff and handle themselves accordingly, adapt to the right conditions.
I don't think the damage is holding Robert Miller back. I think it's speeding him up. He pulled away. He pulled away by 0.2 that lap.
He's making some on-track adjustments there. I think Damaris is right. The stewards need to investigate some things with the 21 car going on.
Hey now, listen. As the car owner for the number 21, as the owner of Loudmouth Motorsports, I can safely say 100% there is nothing illegal on these cars. These are 100% tech inspection passing, legal good boy cars. Okay, that's what we run out at LMM. The good boy cars. We don't cheat.
Yeah. See, that's the official word. I'm curious to hear what the off the record Loudmouth Motorsports
Oh man, well, honestly, truth be told, I have no idea what my team is running for setups because that would require effort and involvement, and I just kind of pay for the charters and tell them to do good. So
that's all you need sometimes. Hey, coming into Darlington, that's about all you can tell them. You don't want to steer them wrong on the setups. You just tell them, hey, figure it out.
Absolutely, and I'm really intrigued to see how this pit sequence is going to go here because Bryson is running now the exact same pace almost as Robert Miller. It's kind of equaled out to about a 1.6 second lead, although he lost some time that lap after gaining a little bit in the last few laps. But overall, it's about 1.5 to 2 seconds, and it fluctuates in that range, but it's never more or less.
And as fast as they're running with Robert Miller pulling away, you almost wonder if they're going to pit within the next 10 laps or if they're going to kind of push it a little bit longer here until they start falling off a little bit more.
Right, and that leads me to my point of, with being within 3 seconds. The top three are within 3 seconds of another. And Benefield is actually currently the fastest car on the track. He got around Cameron Stone for third. He is closing in on Bryson and Robert Miller in this long run. But, 3 or 4 seconds, that is enough time that you could make that up with a short stop strategy if you were to get in a lap or two ahead of everybody else. And we know how well that strategy has worked tonight. So I got to wonder, when are these guys going to bring it down pit road? You said sometime within the next 10 laps, and I am inclined to believe a lot of these drivers probably wanting to split this or less than half. It wouldn't quite be in half, but I would assume between laps 250 and 255 is when we're going to see pit road get real hot.
Just get a nice little 40-lap run to the end. I think Robert Miller's kind of hoping for that, because it seems like, Benefield and these guys really don't come to life until the very, end of that run. So trying to keep them as fresh as possible to hold them off the edge road.
100%.
It's all about that control.
Absolutely. We do have 2 cars behind the wall since the last time we kind of updated you guys at home on the DNF situation. Mike Tellier, I can't remember if we mentioned that or not, but he is behind the wall, as well as Tim Rail in the number 17. He has taken it behind the wall. So 2 more victims to add to the list from the lady in black. This has been a grueling race, Ashton, in terms of incidents and DNFs for a lot of these drivers.
I got to say, this is probably one of the biggest amount of this is the most drivers we've seen go behind the wall at a race, I think, so far this season. One of, if not the most. And it's honestly, I mean, that's the lady in black, and she shows no mercy, like we said. And a lot of these drivers either just frustrated with how the car is handling, or just the car is so beat up it just...
Oh, and we got a wreck. That's a hard hit for Sean O'Brien Jr.
Mobley and Sean O'Brien Jr. Caught in that wreck there. Dalton Mobley definitely not happy with it.
Yeah, Dalton Mobley coming across the radio saying a very sarcastic "thanks, man," and that's a rough situation. As we try to look at a replay here, you can see the 65 just into the outside wall once and then twice, and then of course just down into Dalton Mobley, where they both then slid into the inside barrier.
It's funny to note Dalton Mobley really unhappy with the 65 driver of O'Brien Jr. there, but really there was just nowhere for him to go. He had hit the wall, skipped off it, and Mobley was right there. It's honestly a racing deal there, so interesting. I wonder if he knew that really there was that was the situation or not.
I mean,
like we said, temper's boiling over here. We're getting close to the end of the race.
For sure, and we've seen how difficult turn 2 has been, Ashton. I mean, even the race leader has not been able to avoid that outside wall every single lap. I mean, it's kind of expected. When you have a track this narrow, cars that handle this bad, even the best driver is going to tag that pole a time or two. Yep. And unfortunately for Sean O'Brien Jr. and Dalton Mobley, it just so happened that it was timed perfectly for them to come together, and that inside wall was, its typical unforgiving self. Yep. And that was pretty much that for them. And it's just a shame if that had happened like a lap sooner. Maybe they would have been far enough apart that wouldn't have happened. But hey, that's racing.
They had the momentum there, and it didn't work out for him like he thought. And it just happened so fast here at this track. As all the leaders are pitting right now, I think Adam Benefield's in a good spot here. He's going to be right behind the leader. Maybe he gets the jump on Bryson here, and Robert Miller's got to be he's got to be sweating there. But I think they can run to the end of the race here, so it'll be curious to see if we get another caution or if they stay green and run this out. But
and the leader, which you just saw on your screen, Robert Miller. That now listen, it's been a while since I've read the league rule book. I am a commentator. I am not the enforcer, but I think he just broke a couple of rules with that pit road exit. He drove through roughly 7 or 8 stalls, basically all of the stalls ahead of his. I do not believe that to be legal within the confines of the 100% Cup Series rulebook. So nothing's going to happen to him, I don't think, right now, but it would be an after-the-race penalty, possibly an end-of-the-line for the next race. We'll just have to see if anything comes of that.
I mean, considering he's a fill-in right now, possibly, if he's not coming back next week, maybe he's not so super worried about it. He's just trying to go for it here. Maybe not worried about, incurring a penalty, which not necessarily, I'm not condoning that it's the mindset to have, but you're out here to win a race, and things happen. Definitely lucky that it's not an in-race penalty if that's the case, but that was a good call there. Good eye, Andre.
Thank you. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting situation to follow for sure. And something that has definitely been shaken up by this, Ashton, is that they're good to the end now. I mean, we've got roughly 44 laps to go right now. It'll be about 42, I believe, when we cross the line for green, which is well within the fuel window. And honestly, what I've noticed is that Adam Benefield's car really only comes to life after about 40 or so laps. So with that many laps remaining in the race, I feel like maybe that's a hindrance to the 83. But then again, we know Benefield is never a driver that shows his hand or his true pace until it really matters. So who knows? I think maybe he's going to try and charge a late race attack and maybe have some short run speed that we didn't know about. We're going to have to see how that plays out. But Bryson, looking at Bryson, I don't know what to think of that 63. He's shown a lot of speed tonight. He won stage 1. He's shown to have sometimes short run speed, sometimes long run speed. I think overall he's just not happy with the handling of that 63, and he's doing everything he can to hang on to it. And he doesn't really dictate when the car is good or fast or anything like that. He's just making his laps and kind of holding on for dear life. Like Damaris said, a lot of these guys just trying to make clean laps. Whereas the 21 seems to be the most comfortable driver up front, but even he is not free from the handling of these cars and how hot this track is. He got into the wall. He's gotten really loose. You called out a few times. You pointed out he got super loose on the straightaway. And everybody.
It's going to be harder and harder to find clean laps here for these drivers. Like you said, they're trying to find them. It's going to be hard to find as we get to the end of this, and if we possibly get more restarts. As here we go, the pace car off, and let's see what Robert Miller does here. Hanging back, he gets that jump, but there comes Benefield right behind him. He's going to try to fill that gap that he left and try to challenge second place here. He's going for it.
Benefield and Hixenboss side by side, and whoa, Benefield loose! It's going to be a big slide. Cameron Stone doing everything he can to avoid him as Benefield back up the track and a hard hit from his teammate, Justin Hall. Now the number 15 piling in with a massive driver's side hit.
And that's definitely got to be a caution.
The craziest thing about this is that no yellow flag has flown. A devastating series of events for Team Conti.
Mobley really upset on the...
Man, that went from bad to worse. The number 83, it was bad enough he got loose on that apron. I was going to say, side by side, who gives in that situation? Because it's tough to enter that low, but...
And it's just nobody gave there, and Benefield definitely just coming in hot there and just did not have the grip he thought he did.
Yeah, did not. It was the shift in banking, I think, is what got him. He had half the car on the racing surface, half the car on the apron, and I think that's what spun him. And unfortunately, as he enters the pit, it was his teammate in the number 1 that came in to pile drive him. So just a bad situation to worse, and now all of Team Conti sitting on pit road with only roughly, I believe, let's see, we're on lap 255. Yeah, only a little under 40 laps to go. Looks like we do have another car slow on the apron, possibly involved in that last.
That's going to put Cameron Stone back down in 5th. Still 3 seconds back, so...
And that is Felver that's slow on the apron. So that is one very strong contender, pretty much out of the showing, Ashton. Now,
with Benefield out, you got to think maybe it's between Robert Miller and Bryson Hixenbaugh here. It'll be interesting to see if Bryson's been holding back a little bit or just kind of pushes a little bit harder, kind of pushes the limits here to try and get to Robert Miller by the end of this. As he gets within 3/10 of the leader, he's catching him. But maybe young John Delaney, he's sitting there in the wings. He's 1.8 back. maybe the shakeup benefits him. Maybe these leaders get into each other. Who knows? It's still anybody's race between the top 3 or 4 here. I mean, I wouldn't count Cameron Stone out yet. He got out of that without any damage, and he's still about 3.6 seconds back. But again, it's going to be some imposing odds there for 57 driver to overcome.
Yeah, it's definitely he's going to need a caution, I believe. Not sure he's going to be able to run these guys down on speed, but he's definitely still in the game if he gets a yellow flag. And watching these leaders battle it out, one thing I am noticing consistently is they take a very similar line through 1 and 2, nearly identical, in fact. But then they come through 3 and 4, and the 63, Bryson Nixon, he drives it in so much deeper. I mean, you can see he closes that gap up a ton going into the corner, and then on exit, the 21 pulls right back out. So my question is, and I'm genuinely unsure, as Bryson tags the wall a little bit there. Nothing, I don't think that even gave him any damage, so just a very ginger tap there. I wonder which line between the 2 in 3 and 4 is using tires quicker, because that could be the difference. Is driving in a little bit deeper and being slower on the exit saving tires, or is the 21 saving tires by being slower on entry? It could go either way, but I think one way or the other, it's gonna affect the outcome of this race.
Absolutely. I just think that it's really going to boil down to who stays out front here, as Robert Miller trying to keep out in front of Bryson Hicksonbaugh right now. John Delaney falling back, so I think honestly it's between these top 2 drivers at this point, unless we have another caution, which, as we've seen, we can't count it out. We can't count that they're going to drive these next 33, 34 laps or so completely caution-free. And especially as tempers have flared out there, I think, we've heard from Dalton Mobley, a couple other drivers, it's getting heated, and patience is running thin at the Lady in Black, and that's definitely what she aims to do. It seems like she likes to see the chaos, and we're seeing it as this race winds down in the closing laps.
For sure. And Bryson a little bit loose into turns 1 and 2 there as they continue to battle for the lead. And on your screen right now, that is, I believe, Kyle Amoon, who, silently, Kyle has had a fantastic night. Right now, he's running all the way back in, well, I say all the way, he's only back in P8. He's on the lead lap. He's been as high as up to 5th in this race. And really a great recovery. He's had kind of a rough string of races. And he hasn't run every race this season. So to see him come back and be a lead lap contender and be running top 10, that's really good to see. And I got to feel like that tonight is going to be a big confidence booster for Kyle Amoon. But it seems like with this race, some of these drivers have their cars trimmed out so well, to the point where their handling is just a little bit better. And that's all it takes. And Kyle Amoon, he's struggling with the car. He's fighting it. And through it all, he's still running top 10. So big shout out to Kyle Moon for a silently good night. We haven't really talked about him too much tonight, but good run there. And of course, there's Cody Bird on your screen. Again, the sponsor of this race, Burdvision TV. Where's Cody Bird running? Well, let's look through the running order if I can find him. And it looks like he is going to be scored in P9. So Cody Bird, in the race that he is sponsoring, is really, really looking to get a top 10. I mean, this could happen. He is running P9 right now. The next car behind him is the next car behind him is 2 laps back. So Cody Bird, net number 13, looking to score what I believe would be his first top 10 of the season.
At that point, you can kind of breathe a sigh of relief. You don't have to worry. You're 2 laps behind the guy in front of you, 2 laps ahead of the guy behind you. You're in a safe spot. You've got a solid top 10 drive here at a track that's super hard. I think he's just coasting around, having himself a nice time at the Lady in Black, trying not to provoke her.
Absolutely. And it's funny, Cody had so little confidence going in tonight. He genuinely, I think he was expecting tonight to be a terrible race. He told me it was not going to be fun. But look at that. I mean, running top 10, you can't complain about.
And we've had a lot of shakeups tonight. I mean, that we talked about earlier in stage 1. We talked about Bryson Ixaba maybe getting caught up in something, and we said, hey, the same thing could happen to Adam Benefiel, and sure enough, something happened to one of our leaders. It could have been Robert Miller, it could have been Bryson. I mean, Robert Miller got lucky. So did Bryson a couple times. So, I mean, you're not safe at the front of the pack in this race. You're not safe anywhere in the pack, as it turns out. So, I mean, it's just unfortunate that Adam Benefiel having what could have been a run, like one of the greatest runs of the race, to take that lead from Robert Miller or challenge him for it at the end of this race, getting cut short there. At the same time, it could have happened to anybody. So,
Absolutely could have been. On your screen right there, ahead of Cody Bird, that is Sean O'Brien Jr., who, of course, was involved in that incident with Dalton Mobley. And it's interesting to see that he still has a decent amount of pace. I mean, the way they hit that inside wall last year, I would have thought, yeah, you know, that car is done for the day. Take it behind the wall. But no, he's out on track. He's running currently P6.
He's wheeling it pretty well. I mean, he got back around Dalton Mobley, who was in front of him for the longest time. And I mean, after that event, and you can see that car, there is so many dents just everywhere in the car. You know, as he gets into the wall again, there gets another stripe added to the car. It's he's handling an ill-handling race car pretty well, I might say. And I mean, there's dents all over it, right front, left front, rear, top of the car almost. I think that's the only place he doesn't have dents right now. Just really masterful driving.
Absolutely. I mean, anytime you can take a car that hit the inside wall at about Mach 1 and run top 6 with it, I don't think you can really complain too much about that, you know?
And he has been quiet most of the race. He's talked a couple times, quipped here and there, but apologized after the wreck. But I mean, he's definitely focused. And I mean, you gotta be in a track like this where, like Damaris said, they're just holding on for dear life.
Absolutely, for sure. And on your screen right there, that is, I believe, Mason Lowry, who was not too pleased with that last caution happening the way that it did. Mason was really close to being able to take a wave around, and I believe, actually, no, he's 4 laps down. I'm not sure why he was upset with that caution. He was not involved, but I do know he came across the radio when that occurred, and he was heated. So.
I do believe he's just upset with this entire race, how it's gone, being 4 laps down probably, and just the way the car's been handling. I mean, he makes it look easy out there, but kind of like Ricky Craven said back in the day. He said, "I know it looked kind of easy, but man, it's a handful out there." So he's probably just like the rest of these drivers, just trying to bring her home in one piece. Can't blame him for hating the lady in black. A lot worse has been said about her, and a lot worse will probably be said about her by the time this is over.
All right, well, we got somebody in the infield care center, so we're going to go ahead and bring him up. Adam Benefiel, you got a copy? You got a copy, Adam?
Yeah.
All right, there we go. So, Adam, you had phenomenal pace all night long. You were running top 3. At one point, you passed a lot of cars in a short period of time to get up there. Unfortunately, it did not end the way that you would have liked. You got a little loose through turn 1. You entered side by side with Bryson, and ultimately the car just did not like that change in banking. Walk me through what happened.
I mean, yeah, before that caution, I kind of told Dustin, my teammate there, I was like, we had lost the balance of the car completely. I didn't know what it was going to do from one lap to the next. So right before that green flag run, I threw something at it, and the longer we went into the run, the faster it got, and I was starting to reel Bryson and Robert back in. But then the caution come out, so I didn't really touch it. I just set it up to where we'd try to come in a little bit quicker. And I knew when I came out third, I knew I had to try to get past Bryson. If I could get past Bryson on the start, then it was going to be one less car to fight with, and I could just worry about Robert long run. But first couple of laps all night, our car was extremely loose. It was a gamble, and there was nothing. I mean, nothing. Nobody really did wrong. I just got loose, and we were racing. It was coming down to go time, so I just stepped on it. And I hate it for Cam because I stayed in it to gas it up to go down the banking, and then I look at my left monitor and realize that he went down the banking instead of up. So I was just trying to get the hell out of the way.
Adam, you mentioned that you really had to work on your car throughout this race and throw the wrench at it. Obviously, the simulator kind of made a few changes to this track just a couple days before it was race day. How much of a hand did that play in just how much the cars were really fighting you guys out there?
I mean, like this threw it back to my style of driving. Honest God, they took a lot of grip out of it, and the pace slowed down. So, managing your tires and everything was massive. So, the guys are struggling. They, 90% of them wasn't here when we had low downforce, high horsepower. So, it's a new ordeal for them, and but if you manage your stuff right, then you were going to be good on the long run. And it just kind of fell into it. And then the way that we started off, it was so hot, and the sun's going down, so track was cooling down. So you just had to stay up with the track, free it up. The cooler it went, and that's where it cooled down a lot quicker than we thought. So it got away from us, and I was able to get it back up under us there.
Absolutely. Ashton, you got any questions for Adam?
Adam, you were on rails for most of the race there. I mean, it looked like you were hard charging the front before the caution. Robert Miller himself said he was worried about your long run speed there, and you were definitely making your way back up to the front. Just unfortunate that you were caught in that situation where you tried to go for it and it just didn't stick very well. It seemed like you were struggling with the car handling there about mid-race, but honestly, impressive drive nonetheless, man. Just happened to be the lady in black didn't give you much favor today. So would you like to thank anybody before you go back to working on the car?
Yeah. Just everybody at Team Conti for the work. Everybody at WR1 Sim Chassis. Threw it back this week to the boss man, Dale Jr. So me and him were doing some C opens or C fix races. I think it was last night or the night before, and I told him I was going to throw back a car, and he suggested the old DMP car. So we threw it back to him tonight, and I hate that we couldn't get the W. I really wanted to do that, but I don't know. Damn good looking race car. Thanks to DEP Paints for painting it for me. This league, it's a fun league. It's awesome. Everybody over here is awesome. It's fun. It's long, and you guys for broadcasting these races.
Absolutely. Well, Adam, keep your head high. You didn't end the way you wanted it to tonight, but you got a lot more coming, man. You've had pace all year long. You always got pace. You're the guy we watch every week.
Yep,
so
a lot of good notes for the fall race. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, thank you for your time, Adam. Good luck next week.
Thanks.
All right, that was. Go ahead.
Bryce and Hickson ball on track. Apparently using some unconventional tactics here. A callback to the old NASCAR games, pressing square to intimidate. I'm not sure how much it's working on Robert Miller, the leader, as he still maintains a 1.3 second lead over Bryson with only 10 to go. So we'll see how that works out for him.
We're going to have to see what the lap times really are in comparison. I think Robert Miller was about a 10th quicker that time than Bryson. So with only
lap traffic here.
He is coming up on lap traffic, and it's late in the race. So if you make any mistakes navigating this traffic now, you do not have time to compensate for that. So it's going to have to be perfect maneuvers, and he's going to have to hope.
I believe Jason Taylor blowing an engine right there on the backstretch as the leader passes him.
And that is the last thing that I think Robert Miller wants to see, is anybody blowing their engine or putting oil down on the track that might cause a caution. But as I pointed out there, Ashton, look who's in third again. Jonathan Delaney, the third again.
I'm sure he's going to be thrilled to hear that if he ever catches the broadcast after the race. Hopefully he catches second place there, but I don't. With 5.8 seconds back from the leader, I don't think he's gonna do it.
At this point, he's either hoping that he catches second place or that he just gets passed by Cam. One of the two. But I know he does not want to be P3 when this is all said
I
and
think
done.
at this point he's just hoping to get her back to the hauler in one piece.
Absolutely. As I
Something
thought,
to point out, Robert Miller, he's kind of swinging it loose there on exit of 2. He's barely just not grazing the wall there. If he's not careful, he pushes too hard here trying to stay out in front of Bryson. He might smack that wall if he's not careful. He definitely needs to be a little cautious, but also not, not give any inches to Bryson here.
yeah, I mean, it's a fine line. You gotta push the car as hard as you comfortably can, while
Absolutely.
also not really overdriving. If you overdrive, whoa, into the wall goes the
As he
leader.
hits the wall there,
Yeah.
that's gonna give Bryson a couple tenths, I'm sure, but he
Might
keeps it going.
give him more. I see the right rear of that car bent in a little bit after that hit on my end. So we're gonna have to wait and see how this plays out as we approach
Yep.
lap 288 out of
And like
293.
we said, it's a fine line at most tracks in the closing laps when you have a race like this on your hands. But at Darlington, it's an even finer line than that.
You got this one lane track, and it's no room for error. I've said it so many times tonight, but it stays true. You cannot make a mistake here. You can't give it too much wheel input. You can't give it too little wheel input. There is nothing that you can do wrong and really get away with it. You've got to be on the ball. Oh my goodness!
As a caution comes out,
Dalton Mobley
that might
goes.
be a race-ending wreck for Mobley as he comes off 2 there in same place that O'Brien came off the wall and collected him earlier. He collects it himself, and that front end is gone.
This makes everything just that much more dramatic. What was going to be seemingly an easy cruise to victory lane for the number 21 is now going to be a high-stakes situation where he's trying to play defense. Dalton Mobley, of course, in that replay you saw, he very similar to what happened to Sean O'Brien earlier. He just got into that wall, pinged him down to the inside, and that was that. And I think you called that, Ashton. That's going to be a race ending for Mobley.
And with 5 cars on the lead lap, you can't help but think maybe Robert Miller should have pitted there. Miller stayed out, and Bryson's going to be the first car on fresh tires, I believe. So Pierce staying out as well. So Bryson's going to have a little bit of traffic here, but it's going to be tough to see if he has enough laps to make those fresh tires work. But Robert Miller's going to have to hold him off on almost 40-lap tires. We're going to see how much those tires mean here. But at a hard-to-pass track, I don't know if Bryson has enough.
Here's the thing. Robert Miller and Brandon Pierce are not holding anybody off on 40-lap old tires. That simply isn't going to happen. What's going to happen is this is going to be an absolute chaotic restart. It's going to be the other drivers that were on the lead lap. It's going to be Bryson, John, Cameron, and Sean O'Brien, who is the last car on the lead lap, absolutely scrambling to get around those two as easily and as painlessly as they can, because it's going to be hard to pass, like you said, but those two leaders are going to be so far off the pace with the old tires that it's almost. At the
same time, Robert Miller, he gets these great restarts, but yeah, I mean, how far ahead does he have to get to give himself room to kind of control this race just a few laps longer, or does he even get that chance? As we've got Bryson right there.
And yeah, that's a good point. So with those two staying out, nobody got a wave around, so it really is just going to be the 6 drivers that are on the lead lap. And I don't know. I just don't understand the mindset fully between Pierce and Miller. I think maybe they're just planning on playing a whole lot of defense, and just trying their best. Oh, Pierce did go down pit road, so now it's just Miller. Maybe he's planning on playing some extreme defense, trying to throw some blocks. I mean, this is a track you can block at. It's very one lane, but that is going to be a tall order for the driver of that 21.
You can't help but wonder what is going through Robert Miller's head right now, as he's maybe kicking himself for not going down pit road as he sees all these guys behind him with the sticker tires. you can't help but wonder if maybe that's what's going to cost him this dominating performance we've seen in stage 2 and stage 3 here.
Absolutely, and it is going to be a green-white checkered as we cross the line this time. We're on lap 292 out of the scheduled 293, but of course that will be extended for this green-white checkered.
I got to tell you, I'm on the edge of my seat. I can only imagine what they're doing down there.
It's got to be nerve-wracking for everybody. If you're the car behind the number 21, you are watching him very vigilantly and trying to make sure that if he spins his tires, which is highly possible, that you're not involved and that you don't get caught up in it. So Delaney, I'm sure, trying to watch that 21, and he's going to be on the ball trying to react to any potential wheel spin that they might get. And if you're Bryson, just try to get as good of a jump as you can, because if you can get side by side with the 21, your chances of winning this race are pretty good. If you can just stay side by side and not let him get ahead of you to block. So it's just a lot of different dynamics at play right now. A lot of stress, I'm sure, for these drivers.
Tension mounting as the pace car drops off, and here we go, boys. Green-white checkered.
How good of a start can the 21 get on those old tires? When does he start? Does he start in the corner? No, it's a late start, and Bryson goes around!
In the wall! Oh, the 56 is around!
Delaney.
They keep going. Cameron is upset. No yellow. Cameron is very upset.
Yeah, Jonathan Delaney to the bumper of the 21, down low. It's going to be the number 9 Reese's machine to the lead, and it's going to be the white flag when they cross next time. If we don't get a yellow flag,
past 21. 21 not holding them off at all.
And here comes Cam to the bumper of the number 9.
21 is fading fast.
And the 57 sliding up towards the outside wall. It is the Public Contenders on sale.com white flag of the race. Cameron Stone sideways. Jonathan Delaney deep into the corner. He's going to extend his lead by about a car length. Coming down the back straightaway for the final time. Who is it going to be?
Run here. He can do it. He can get to. If he can get to him in 3 and 4 here, he's got it.
He said it. Contact. Delaney spinning
7 times down.
Bryson Hickson-Baugh's gonna win it!
Oh!
The 63 takes the win, and Jonathan Delaney finishes second.
What a finish. They're wrecking on the front stretch.
Wow.
Cameron Stone being 6th. Last car in the lead lap. As he tried to save it there, he really dove in. John Delaney without a hood. A lot of front end damage. Finishing second, not third again. Look at that. What a fantastic, exciting finish. Robert Miller 4th, holding on to it with worn tires, and Brandon Pierce 3rd. Definitely capitalizing on the chaos that was the last lap. You were absolutely right, Andre. I could not contain myself. Man, that was... What a finish.
I did not expect Cameron to make that lunge. I mean, he was 2.5 car lengths back.
I mean, I knew he was going to send it, but he got loose before he even got to John Delaney's bumper, and that just collected them both. It was absolutely... You got to wonder, you know, what maybe was going through his head there, as he's just got to go for it. You got to at that point.
I mean... I guess you kind of got to send it, but at the same time, man, he was so far back, he was never going to make that corner.
If he'd been able to hold on to it, maybe he would have finished second there. But Bryson had the run up high coming out of that corner. You know, they were at least 10 miles an hour slower between John and Cameron, and it just didn't work out for them the way they thought. At least John was able to salvage up something there, but man, they all went for it, and that's... You know, it's just an exciting finish. Not exactly what a lot of these drivers are hoping for. Robert Miller just didn't have the restart he wanted, and yeah, just
when you don't take tires, it's tough. You know, he did what he could. And we're gonna take a look at this finish of the race one more time. Actually, this is the we're gonna go on board here for the final segment
for Robert Miller, though.
It was a very good finish, for sure. But we're going to go on board for this replay of the restart. It looks like Bryson just spun his tires big time, and that held up Cameron Stone a ton, and he just kept hanging off that wall. And at this point, you know, you're thinking, man, he's so far back, he doesn't have a shot at this. And then, of course, You got the 57 coming down low, a little bit of damage to that machine. Meanwhile, up front, you've got Jonathan Delaney in that race's machine making a masterful pass for the lead. And then side by side goes Cameron Stone with the 21. And right here,
and you see, if you watch the cockpit view of Cameron Stone there, he dives down low, and it almost like he cut a tire down there, because you see the car shake coming out of 4, and he just loses control of it.
He oversent it. That's what happened, because on this onboard view with Bryson here, you can see they're coming through 1 and 2. Here they are, single file. Now look at how far back Cam is. He is 2 car lengths back. That is much too far to really realistically make a lunge. And like you said, Ashton, he was sideways before he ever got to the 9.
And if you look, it looks like he tried to dive down low there and hit the gap that John was leaving in 3, and he just slid up. He got loose. He turned too hard left, and I mean, his car has not been handling good enough for him to do that. And just hey, last ditch effort, and you can't completely blame him, but at the same time, you got to think, man.
And then here is the number 9 car. You can see how quickly the 57 comes into frame sideways. Just a square hit to that left rear quarter panel.
And you see John just trying to save it as he.
And what a drive that was. I mean, you're right, Ashton. He saved that just about. That second contact sent him back around. But I mean, if it wasn't for that second hit, John actually would have saved it.
Second place there after the rear end of Cameron just destroyed the front of his car. I mean, just a lot of talent, even when they're wrecking. You gotta praise these guys for how hard they drive these things. They drive the tires off them literally.
Absolutely, and a big hit for Delaney before he got to the line, but he was able to limp it across in P2. Barely. It was 0.03 of a second between John and Brandon Pierce. But I'll tell you what, before we get into our post-race interviews, let's do a quick rundown of our complete final running order. Ashton, I'll take 1st through 10th. You go 11th through 20th, and we'll just keep it that pattern until we're at the end. Your race winner, of course, going to be Bryson Hixenbaugh after a wild finish to the Burdvision TV 400. Jonathan Delaney 2nd, Brandon Pierce 3rd, Robert Miller 4th after an interesting strategy towards the end, trying to restart on older tires, brought it home 4th with a good drive. Sean O'Brien Jr. with an impressive night, despite all he had been through, all of the incidents that he had kind of been a bystander in, all of the things that had happened, all the times he tagged the wall, still brought it home in the top 5 on the lead lap. Impressive run by Sean O'Brien Jr. in that 65. Cameron Stone with a late race lunge. It cost him dearly. He's the last car on the lead lap, down into P6. Dalton Mobley 7th, Kyle Amoon 8th. Cody Bird, the sponsor of this race, with his first top 10 of the season. He is going to be P9. And running out your top 10, Randy Drumhiller in that number 44. And I believe that's going to be his first top 10 of the season as well. And Ashton has 11th through 20th.
Mason Lowry's going to be right outside the top 10 in 11th place, 5 laps down. Dustin Hall right behind him, 8 laps down, 12th place. Rallying back after that huge wreck between him and his teammate that cost Adam Benefield the race. Chad Edwards, 9 laps down, 13th place. Devin Medeiros, 14th, 11 laps down. Alex Princeton, 19 laps down, 15th place. Not a bad finish, all things considered with his race. And Adam Benefield, definitely not feeling very good at the Lady in Black after how she treated him. 16th place, 42 laps down. Definitely salvaged what could have been a run for the win there. Jason S. Taylor, 43 laps down, 17th place. Carl Felver, 47 laps down, 18th place. Mike Tellier, 70 laps down, 19th place. Ryan Samuelson, 20th place, 79 laps down. Collected in that wreck about mid-race. Tim Rell, 95 laps down, 21st place. That's going to round out your top 20 as we go back to Andre.
Jason Chambers bringing it home at P22, 128 laps down. This is where we see a lot of the drivers who were involved in early race incidents, because at this point we are past the 100-lap down marker. Damaris Hickenbottom, again, I am so sorry, Damaris. We never should have had the camera on you. P23. Tyler Pinsino, 24th. Craig Fryer, 25th. You got Preston McRae in P26. Brian Branham 27th, Dakota Knoll 28th, and rounding out your field, we're not going to forget him. Kevin Steele in the number 24 machine is going to bring it home, P29. We're going to throw it to a quick break while we get our post-race interviews organized. And when we get third place up here in the booth, we're going to bring it right on back for the conclusion of our post-race coverage of the Burdvision TV 400. All right, so we are back for our post-race coverage of the 100% Cup Series Burdvision TV 400. Before we get into our interviews with the top three, we have a bit of an impromptu interview from the Infield Care Center. When we went to break, I went ahead and ran down there as quickly as I could, and we are here with Cameron Stone, driver of the number 57, who made a quite, we'll call it optimistic late race lunge. Cam, walk me through the end of the race.
Well, no, we got that green-white checker. We're on our last set of tires. I've just been biding my time, trying to take care of the car all night. I hadn't hit anything 0x to that point. I was feeling pretty good about it. 2-lap shootout, I was able to hang with those guys up front, and I knew Robert didn't have tires, so he was going to hold everybody up. And then, man, Bryson spun his tires right there. I wasn't happy about that. I thought that lost us the race. And then Robert held John up, which gave us a good chance to get to him. I think coming through 1 and 2 under the white flag, the damage I got from running in back of Bryson helped me up a little bit. But when you're that close, I've been running behind John or in front of John all damn night. I knew he won't no faster than me. Yeah, you just got to take a shot at that one, man. I feel bad. I wish it hadn't wrecked him. Probably a couple car lengths too far back to really go for that one, but you know, gotta get wins out here, man. All of us are locked in already. I'm trying to get some more playoff points, get some wins. Wanted to put that car in victory lane tonight, but yeah, feel bad for John, but I gotta go for that every time.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
Cameron, we saw you were hanging back there kind of in fourth all night, just riding around. And I kind of thought maybe that was the strategy. You're taking care of the car, trying to stay up front. And a heck of a move. You had to go for it. You're absolutely right. Just didn't quite connect. A lot of cause and effect there in the last 3 laps. I gotta wonder, is there anything you felt you could have done differently there, maybe to maybe not get caught in that and get the win there?
Nah, when Bryson spun the tires there, there's nowhere else for me to go. John's on the inside. I'm kind of boxed in, so it's either, you know, drive through Bryson or let 5 or 6 other people by me. So, yeah, that's put up a shut up time right there. Green, white checkers, you got to go get it. So went for it. I know John's not going to be happy with me. Me and him's got a pretty good relationship on and off the track. So hopefully that doesn't hurt that too much. He'll be mad for a little while, but hopefully he'll get over it.
Okay.
You heard it from the man himself.
It's yeah. Well, you know, like you said, it's late in the race. You got to make a lunge, and especially you got to think frustration's probably building over one of the longer races of the season. You know, especially with how ill handling these cars were. You get down to it, and hey, you see a shot for the win, and I suppose you got to take it, you know, like you said. So.
Yeah, it's too bad you guys don't have those heart rate monitors like they do in real NASCAR, because I'm pretty sure I was well over 180 beats per minute at the end.
We can hear it, buddy. You're all adrenaline right now. You need to take a cooled shower and
yeah, I'm talking faster than we was driving tonight.
I mean, we were excited up in the booth. I think I broke Carlos's audio equipment when all that was going on. It was just insane as everything as everything was going on. Just I couldn't believe just how that went. I mean, you see Bryson Hixenbaugh spinning his tires, and you think right then, count him out. He's done. Doesn't have a chance. Then you see Jonathan Delaney driving away with it. You think, yep, that's your race winner. And then, of course, you make your lunge from 2 or 3 car lengths back, and and that all goes down. And then, oh, look at that. There's Bryson. And it was an exciting finish.
You know, that's the worst part about the whole thing, is that Bryson still won the race. You know, I feel like this feels like to me when Chase Elliott wrecked Ryan Blaney in the Clash race earlier this year. Like, you know, 2 buds going for the win, take each other out, and neither one of them wins it. So it's a lose-lose, but you got to go for it, man.
Absolutely. Well, Cam, thanks for your time. Good luck next week. And we got some other interviews we got to talk to, and maybe we'll see exactly how Jonathan Delaney does feel. We'll fill you in.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
All right, that was Cameron Stone out of the booth. Now we're going to bring up Robert Miller. Robert, you got a copy? Mr. Miller, this is Under Graham Bush in the 3Y TV booth. You got a copy? Try one more time. Robert Miller, got a copy? All right, sounds like Robert is AFK. I don't have a copy on his comms. We'll put him back in the waiting room. Maybe try again later. For now, let's go ahead and try and pull in our 3rd place finisher, Brandon Pierce. And here he is. Actually, he was 3rd place. Let me double check.
Yep.
Brandon had such an up and down race. It's almost hard for me to believe he went up on that podium. It was a great effort. All right. Brandon Pierce, you got a copy?
I got you loud and clear. How are you boys doing tonight?
We're doing pretty good. Anytime we get to watch a show like that,
Definitely
we're
up here in the booth.
We're having a good time. Brandon, your race was kind of all over the place. Had some issues early on in the race, and ultimately you fought through them like a champ, fought all the way back up to a podium finish right behind your teammate there at DGR. Just walk me through your race. How was the car out there?
Well, I came to the race with a car that was a lot better than what I expected it to be. I figured I was just going to be trudging around most, but was able to make some headway there at the start. Kind of the game plan the whole time was to race the track. It's a tough track. It got us all tonight. Definitely made some mistakes. Got in the wall. Had a damaged car for a good portion of it. Made a big mistake. Took out, one of our admins, Demar Second-Bottom. Feel horrible about that. But yeah, it was just about sticking with it, playing the game of attrition, getting damage fixed under the cautions, and saving a set of tires for the end.
Absolutely. And, when you were getting this podium finish, there was just chaos happening all around you. Of course, Cameron Stone and Jonathan Delaney coming together, Bryson Hixenbaugh trying to make a run on the high side, all of this going on around you. What was your perspective on this? What were you thinking as this was going on?
I mean, right as we were coming to it, I knew they had me on the short run. I mean, their cars were a half a second faster lap on the short run. And then you got Bryson spinning, it's his tires, and we were all expecting Robert to be the one that spun his tires. So that really caught us all off guard and jumbled it up. And then it was just a run. And then, you got the unfortunate incident coming out of 4 with, Stone doing the Stone thing. We all know he's going to go for it. He wants to win, especially on a green, white checkered. He's shown it time and time again. We know that he's going for it. And then at the end, it was basically just don't hit anybody and try to win the race to the line. You got a spinning car in the track and you're just trying to find space.
Yep. And you dove it down low there. Definitely came away with right place, right time there for you. Honestly, fantastic finish for you, Brandon. A lot of your teammates in DGR just throughout the field, just they were all running up in the top 10 tonight. A lot of good takeaways for the team there. Are you guys definitely going to capitalize on this momentum moving forward at, one of the toughest tracks on the schedule, or what's the game plan from here?
That's definitely the goal. It was a great night for DGR. We had 3 cars show up to the race and all 3 of them finished in the top 10. All 3 of them finished the race, which is, great from a team aspect. We're putting in a lot of work. I've got a lot of momentum going for myself in the 38 car, and the goal is definitely to keep carrying this forward, try to lock up as many playoff spots for the team as we can.
Yep, absolutely. That's all you can do.
Brandon, before we let you go, is there anybody you'd like to shout out or thank for your podium finish?
I mean, we gotta thank everybody, the team collectively. You know, we're putting in the hours, putting in the laps all week, and it's definitely starting to show. Shout out to all the moms out there. Happy Mother's Day. Other than that, thanks for your broadcast and thanks for the admins for putting on this league for us.
Well, again, congratulations on your third place finish, and hopefully we're talking to you next week, Brandon.
All right. Thank you.
That was your third place finisher. Now we're going to try to reach our second place finisher, John Delaney. I cannot guarantee he's going to have anything to say. He is still in his team chat, never moved to the waiting room, but we're going to drag him down here just to see if we can get a word with him. Jonathan Delaney, you got a copy? All right, we'll give it one more try. John Delaney, you got a copy, bud? Yeah, I saw that one coming. We're going to put him back up in his team chat. Not too happy with the way this race turned out, and obviously can't blame him for that. So instead, we're going to skip right up onto our race winner, Bryson Nixonbaugh. You got a copy?
Yeah, I gotcha.
Bryson, I don't even know what to say. That restart was all sorts of up and down, topsy-turvy. You spun your tires on the initial green-white checkered restart there, and then it kind of seemed like you were out of it. You know, it seemed like, man, you ain't got a chance to catch up. But then, of course, everything happened between Jonathan Delaney and Cameron Stone, and you were able to capitalize on it. You just slung it around the high side, got by them both, and somehow brought home the win. What was your perspective on all that going on?
I really have no idea how I'm talking to you guys at the end of this race. There should be no reason that I should have been top 3 after I spun my tires like that. I'd never restarted on the actual straightaway this week, so I forgot that it was much looser. On fresh tires in the corner, you can really plant the throttle and just drive off. It'll be squirrely, so it'll make you want to not do it, but it'll stick. And I just planted it, and the car turned right, and I just knew that it was over. Somehow made it through without being turned sideways, coming off the corner, off turn 2, get by Robert, and when I saw Cam was that close to John on the last lap, like they're both wrecking. I just won this because there's no way they're surviving. And Cam sent it too deep, lost it, took out John, and it was just drive through it at that point.
Absolutely, you called it. I mean, they did indeed both wreck themselves. It was a wild show, and of course, you were able to come out on top. And you mentioned earlier that even when you were leading most of stage 1, you got that stage win. You've been running up front all night. Even with how good you were doing, you said the car just didn't feel good. It was rough. How tiring was this race, and how exhausting was it to try to manhandle these cars that just seem to be fighting you at every step for so long?
It's really rough. It's always been a really tough, demanding racetrack. Coming back here with the small spoiler and the more horsepower made it much more difficult than it was last year, even being 100 miles shorter than the Southern 500 that we ran. It's just sliding all over the place, constantly catching the wheel in the corner and sawing it back and forth to hold on to it, and just doing the best you can to keep it out of the wall and keep it straight and go fast.
Absolutely. Ashton, you got anything for our race winner?
I gotta say, Bryson, congratulations! You got another win on your belt. People are starting to get tired of seeing you win these things, but right place, right time paid off for you here. Definitely lucky to collect that back up and get the win here. But we already knew you were a pretty skilled driver to be able to do that. I gotta say, how relieved were you to see when you pitted on that last caution and Robert Miller stayed out? Like, how was there just a big wave of relief there over you guys in the team of the 63 car, or was it just kind of like, I don't know how this is gonna go?
Oh, I spent the last, I don't know, 40, must have been 40, 50 laps just going, if a caution comes out, I want it, because Robert used up a set of tires to win stage 2, and we all knew that he was down, and we taunted him with it a little bit, and then coming in with that last stop and just knowing that he had no more tires, we were good. And it took a while for that caution to come, but I was yelling when it did, because I just knew that we had our shot.
And absolutely, I mean, and I know we're not even halfway into the season yet, but you got to be thinking, what kind of what are you guys planning for as we get to closer to the second half of the season, the regular season, and you gotta be thinking about the fall race here for Darlington, and what does this momentum do for you guys?
Oh, it's big. It's had a little bit of a rough start, and been getting wins more recently. I think 3 out of the last 5 races have been wins, 5 or 6, and it's building up momentum. Looking to hopefully take that regular season championship for the big playoff bonus points. Just rack up as much as we can, a big lead, so I can test as much for Phoenix as possible, and not really worry about the rest of the playoff tracks.
Yep, definitely impressive what you guys have done in the past few races, and looking forward to seeing more of it as we go forward. You just finished one of the toughest tracks on the schedule. You tamed the Lady in Black just barely, so enjoy your night, man. You got anybody you want to thank?
Thank you. I'd like to thank Burdvision TV, Cody Bird, for sponsoring today's race and being my teammate. He does not like Darlington. He was not happy all week long, but he kept with it. He did a ton of practicing, and he ended up with his first top 10 of the season here. So it's been real good for him. Thanks to Robert Miller, actually, for the setup baseline I worked off of. It had a lot of speed. I unfortunately didn't have the long run speed in it that he did, but it worked out. And yeah, thanks to all the family and friends that are watching. I know probably not a lot of you are staying up this late for it, but it's good to have you guys watch when you can. And thank you guys for supporting.
Again, congratulations on your race win, Bryson. Hopefully we're talking to you next week. And man, you didn't thank Ace Moneymaker. You're out here running this EA Sports fantasy driver scheme. You didn't even thank Ace Moneymaker.
Man.
Oh man. All right, Bryson. We'll like I said, hopefully we'll talk to you next week.
Well, if you want me to talk about my throwback.
I mean, we don't have that much time on the broadcast, but
you guys got a lot of things to get to. Like, I think I heard the crowd roar during my interview. There might be a fight between John and Cam going on.
I think it's more than it might be. Yeah. There's a lot of things happening, but all right, Bryson. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, guys.
All right. So Jonathan Delaney did move into the infield care center, I think. I don't think any of us moved him there. I think that was him. So he must be ready to speak. So we're going to try again. It's not going to be too happy, fair warning. So we are not responsible for anything said in the booth here at 3Y TV unless it comes out of our mouths. So here we go. Jonathan Delaney, you got a copy?
Yes, I do.
John, honestly, I'm not even really going to ask too many questions. I'm just going to say, give me your thoughts, everything that happened.
Well, you know, we had a good car. Not as fast as Bryson, Cam. We were closer to Cam than anyone, but Bryson, Robert, and Adam. Long run wise, we had nothing. I was struggling the whole night. I was really tight, and I really didn't fix that till the caution before the very last caution. The run we had before that, I didn't really fix it, and that Adams got loose into one on that restart there. We were able to keep third, and we were pulling away from Cam there at the end. And I would have been fine, rolling in third. I had a fifth place car all night. Then just made the right adjustments, got me into third, and just with some luck. And then caution came out with a couple laps ago. I knew Robert didn't have any more sets left, so I knew that was pretty much an instant spot. And I also knew he was most likely going to probably spin his tires. And I didn't expect Bryson to do it, actually. He spun his tires. I was on the inside. Cam was behind Bryson, so they both got checked up really bad. Got around Robert, turn 1 and 2, cleared him. Had a good white flag lap. Pulled away from Cam a little bit. Had a 3/10 gap to him going into turn 3. And I I dove it in, hard enough to where I wasn't gonna hit the wall, and he just dove it in way too hard. I mean, when you're three tenths back, there's there's no winning that. It, it's the second time he's lost me a race this year. It sucks. I I had it, thought I had it in the bag, and it didn't.
Yep,
And-
definitely a tough loss to take. I mean, he still brought it home second, had a great race car all night. I mean, we knew that you probably had something for the end here, you and Cameron Stone, just kind of hanging back from Bryson and all them, and kind of probably planning for the late race. You're coming off of you won a race, got a suspension, came back from the suspension and won another race and finished second, almost won tonight. I gotta say, you've got some momentum here. You gotta wonder, like the drivers of the other teams, they gotta be realizing that young John Delaney here is definitely always a contender. You can't count him out. How does that? How do you feel about that, or do you feel the same way?
Um, I I don't really know how to feel. I mean, it feels good, that I'm able to run in these races really good against this really hard competition. Um, last year, I think everyone's a bit surprised with how fast I am this year because I blatantly honest, I sucked last year. I made so much mistakes. All that stuff just ruining my race and uh, all that stuff that goes with that. So I really put in the work during the off season. I've gotten better. I've shown that I can win races, run up front, race people clean and whatnot. Just hoping to get that back. There's been a couple of races this year where I all my fault. Did something back like Richmond. That race wasn't broadcasted, but I gave Bryson a little bump. I made him spin, but I felt bad about it. I didn't mean to do it. But I mean, yeah, yeah, I don't got anything else to say.
Yeah, and I know you're a little hard on yourself there, but you are right. You've definitely you are recognizing that you do have the confidence and definitely this team has the speed to contend up there. So I wouldn't be too hard on yourself, or I'd keep your chin up because we're not even halfway through the season yet, buddy, and you're I'm sure you're gonna be up there next week. So we're gonna be going to Dover, and it's gonna be interesting. So a lot of luck to you, man, and hey, good run tonight.
Yeah, thank you. I was talking to Robert before this came in here. He said he'll be just as fast for Dover. So we'll see. Me getting ranked, I probably have more of a drive to win next week. So we'll see.
Yep, absolutely.
John, before we let you go, is there anybody you'd like to shout out or thank?
I'd like to thank you guys for broadcasting this. It's always always enjoy your guys' broadcasts. I'd like to thank Kevin Steele for the paint. Looks awesome.
Yeah, we loved it, man. Love the Reese's.
Too bad we couldn't get in victory lane, but appreciate him for making it. I'd like to shout out my mom. It's Mother's Day tomorrow, so shout out to her and every other mom out there. Happy Mother's Day. Dad, my parents, brother, Tanya, Bob for watching, grandparents for watching. Thank them all. Thank everyone at DGR. We had all the cars that we had tonight in the race. We finished top 10. We had 2 cars finish in the top 3, so good points day for DGR. I'd like to thank Great Lakes Motorsports for the awesome car this week. Put in a lot of work, just like we did last week. And yeah, just shout out to everyone over there for the hard work they've been putting in, and the same thing with DGR. So I think that's all I got. So yeah.
All right. Well, again, John, thank you for your time. I know I've been in a very similar situation, and not on iRacing, but in other racing game leagues where it's not always fun to give these interviews and to give sound bites to the booth and to the commentators. But I appreciate you coming up here and giving us this interview. And it's got to be frustrating, but man, again, just fantastic run. You've had so much momentum this year. I'm genuinely excited to see where you go for the rest of the year, man.
Yeah, me too. I think we have a really good shot at winning the championship. Just gotta keep staying consistent, winning races and whatnot. So yeah.
For sure. All right, John. Have a good night and good luck next week.
Yep. Thank you guys.
And that was your second place finisher out of the booth. And Ashton, that is about going to do it for our post race coverage of the Burdvision TV Throwback 400. I'm Andre Grambush for Ashton Hartman and for Carlos Acosta pushing the buttons. That is going to do it.
Andre Garnbush fired and newly promoted.
Yes, exactly. I done goofed. Put the camera on Damaris just a little bit too long. But with that, good night, everybody, and happy Mother's Day. It is midnight. It is 12:01, so it's officially Mother's Day to any mothers watching. Have a good Mother's Day. Have a good weekend. And we will catch you next week at Dover.